She says she want hood nigga. I keep the perk by the pound. The trunk stay bumped and y'all know we run the town. Hood nigga. And I keep a bad bitch around. Thick bitch, long hair, yellow, white, red, brown. Hood nigga. And my Chevy sitting on 24s. Flats look like flapjack. Pancake, you ain't no hood nigga. I'ma play the game how it go. They can take me out the hood, but I'ma keep it hood, folks. I'm on that good and alcohol. I got some down bitches I can't call. What's that? I don't know what I would do without y'all. I'm a ball till the day I fall. Yeah, long as my bitches love me. Country shit. Let me tell you about this country shit. Country shit. Let me tell you about this country shit. Country shit. Let me tell you about this country shit. Country shit. Let me tell you about this super fly, dirt, coast, muddy water. Shorty, pop that pussy if you wanna. Let me tell you about this old school pouring lean, candy yams and collard greens, pocket full of stones, riding clean.
Well, I'm just one parlay away from a new house, new car. I'm just one parlay away. Trust I'ma take us far. I'm just one parlay away, one parlay away, one parlay away. Oh, I took the Chiefs on over, took my homes on yards. Everything is going good so far. Lakers beating the Knicks, spread is only 6. 2 minutes left in the game, baby. I'm about to hit. Ow!
I need out, yeah, I need out. Blood pressure higher than a body count. Tomorrow she has to go. She's a mama. I think I married a hoe. I said, mama, I think I married a hoe. I made a mistake, mama. No, oh no. I want you. A man can't do nothing for you. All these hoes ain't loyal. All these hoes ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal. 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 These hoes ain't loyal. When a rich brother wants you and your man can't do nothing for you. All these hoes ain't loyal. Ain't loyal. Whoa, these hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, these hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, these hoes ain't loyal. 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 These hoes ain't loyal.
Don't tell me about me. Stop telling 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 me about me. I don't need you to tell me about me.
Man, welcome back. Welcome back. Where my oldest at? There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about right there, man. I need that. I need that, y'all. Man, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another one, man. Look, another episode of the JVJ Network, because that's where we at tonight, man. I hope y'all over watching on it. Hope y'all subbed up, ready to rock and roll. I am your host. Let's talk with JVJ. Hope everybody doing all right today. Yeah. Oh, gotta go through my spiel. Yeah, forgot my script, y'all. Gotta go through my spiel. Make sure y'all, on y'all way in, as usual, hit that like, hit that subscribe, share the videos, turn them notifications on, and make sure you click all when you do it. Make sure you click all when you do it, because we're trying to grow around here. We're trying to get up there with the big dogs on YouTube, and I can only do that shit with y'all help. So help a brother out. Tonight we're gonna have a very interesting conversation. Y'all know, like last week, I was actually having a conversation pertaining to look. I'll just say this right now. This is gonna get the disclaimer out the way. This country has a problem with race. The country has a really big problem with race. And there's a select community inside of this country that specifically pertains to. They do not like talking about it. They do not like examples of being brought up. And when it does happen, they try to do like a reverse Uno card trick on your ass and try to make it seem like you're the problem because you speak on it, while they're actively allowing it to happen, even if they don't even participate in it. They claim they don't participate in it, but they're actively benefiting from it. So we had a situation, and we covered this video a couple weeks ago, or a week ago or two, where Mehdi Hassan was on Jubilee, y'all, and they did a 20v1. They had 20 far-right conservatives going up against Mehdi. Mehdi was giving his political stance on certain situations, and these conservatives came in, these far-right ones came in to argue against it. And it pretty much devolved into them just being racist and telling him to get out of their country, even though it's a country that their ancestors stole, and all this whoop-whoop stuff, things of that sort. Well, one of the gentlemen from that interaction, one of the gentlemen from that episode decided to actually have a online conversation with somebody that I actually been slowly watching. And this guy, like, look, he got way more energy than I do. Way more energy, but he does local radio and he's building up his YouTube channel. I do got to shout it out. By the name of Pushing the Limits. He is clearly on the side of not the racists. I just put it like that, not the side of the racists. But he brought this gentleman on, and they're going to have a conversation. And I want y'all to enjoy it just like I was enjoying it. I ain't even watched all of it because I wanted to enjoy this shit with y'all. So I hope y'all enjoy this shit as much as I'm going to enjoy it, because I'm going to make my points in between. I will drop the link probably about 10, 15 minutes into it. I just want to get it started. So just in case some of y'all have some thoughts and some ideas on what's going on. But that's what we're gonna be doing tonight, man. Everybody we got the manuscript, we got the thesis, and all that woo stuff. So we're gonna jump into it. So as usual, man, look, get your popcorn, get your weed, get whatever you need, because we about to get into this shit. All right, we about to get into this shit, and I hope y'all enjoy it, man. Because I got a good feeling that I woke up for this. I woke up for this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, y'all.
And that's the whole reason for my position that appears to be, let's say, radically pro-white, for example, right? Is because I don't believe white people are being treated equally. I don't believe white people are given equal opportunity, especially in social services, for example, wherein I personally have experience based off of, interpersonal.
Are y'all hearing this argument? And look, we starting off strong, man. We starting off strong. Am I all the way at the beginning? Yeah, I'm really all the way at the beginning. I'm gonna let him say it again, but he's saying that white people in America are not getting a fair shake in the country that they run. All right, let's keep going. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's my exact argument. That's the whole reason for my position that appears to be, let's say, radically pro-white, for example, right? Is because I don't believe white people are being treated equally. I don't believe white people are given equal opportunity, especially in social services, for example, wherein I personally have experience based off of.
And peek that word, say given a fair opportunity, when they sit around, when black people and other people of other races, mainly black people, sit around and say, look, we're not getting a fair opportunity. We're not getting a fair opportunity. He turns around and says, white people are not given. Why don't you put your hand down, stop looking for a handout? But once again, we're going to tell you why that's so stupid. Matter of fact, I'll just say it right now. Who runs America and who has always ran America? White people. So if white people are not getting a fair shake, not given a fair shake by society, then you might want to look at white people for that problem. Not black people, not Hispanics, not Indians, not Asians, not anybody that's not from here. You need to look at your own people for why you're not given a fair opportunity.
Of, you know, interpersonal relationships, family, whatever, that are dealing with homelessness, drug addiction. When you actually show up and you apply for services or you look into what's being offered, you see a lot of systems in place that are geared specifically towards and aiding people of color and not
So you think white people are treated worse than black people in the United States of America today?
And a systematic approach, yeah, 100%.
Then why is it that black people are paid less than white people, both men and women, in some instances with the same actual jobs? Why do we see so few black people that are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies? Why do we see so many black people that are in poverty? Why do we see so many black people, at least in my estimation, that are not getting jobs in specific areas? If white people, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't see hate crimes on white people, nowhere near to the extent of hate crimes on black people.
So that's a great point that you brought up. Actually, hate crimes are identified differently when they're on white people. So that actually proves my point even further. That's a good point to go into, especially in California, how hate crimes are identified when people are targeting people, let's say, and they even verbally admit to targeting somebody because they're white. It's not identified as a hate crime in the state of California.
Richie,
So
have you ever been, sorry to interrupt, but have you ever been pulled over by a police officer because you're white?
Yes, actually. I would argue yes. I would argue yes, because I actually have friends that are cops that make the commentary that oftentimes when it comes to filling quotas, or maybe even like pulling over people that they know are going to give them the least amount of trouble on the side of the road, to be the most let's call it adhering to the law, they will instinctively pull over white people for that reason. So, I mean, yeah, you can argue that.
Hold up now. Hold up now. When black people were yelling from the mountaintops that these police officers have quotas, and the Supreme Court ruled that they can't have quotas to pull a certain amount of people over, they told his group of people, the man who said it, pertaining to white people though, they said, stop complaining, stop breaking the law. But now that he feels like there's a quota, such and such, they'll pull over white people. Now it's an issue. When the black people were telling you about this issue way back in the day, when your own folks was doing it to them, you didn't care. Stop breaking the law. Now you want to fucking shake your feelings around that. What? First off, that don't even make no damn sense. He's stupid. Why the fuck would they pull over the people that have the biggest means, the best possible means to fight this and make us look bad in court? No, they pull over the vulnerable, the people who they don't feel like have the resources to actually fight this in court and make them look bad. I don't get how the fuck. It's like, dude, what we're dealing with right now is reverse racism. You got a bunch of people that have always been the victims trying to shape themselves as the victims. And it's not really making no sense, but looking at his dumbfounded face, he truly believes what he's saying. This is indoctrination at its finest. You're a victim. They're coming after you because you're white. But the whole time they've been sitting around saying, just because you're black doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity. You need to stop telling yourself that. And the whole time they telling themselves that shit when they're the ones in control. That's fucking, that's weird.
And I've been pulled over for ridiculous reasons. So I'd argue.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
Sure.
Me too.
Okay, I would respectfully disagree with you. I have plenty of black friends of mine that have been pulled over because of the color of their skin. No doubt, I've been in the car with them. And you think that police officers and law enforcement treat black people the same as white people in this country?
No, not at all. I mean, and here's the thing: I'm not arguing to be anti-black or anything. Like, you know, what's interesting about that Jubilee debate?
How is that anti-black to acknowledge that black people are not treated the same way, at least not the same courtesy as white people? How's that anti-black to admit that? See, they've made it up in their minds, y'all, that if you you speak the truth and you call out the bullshit, somehow you're being anti-black or you're being racist or some shit like that. It's like, come on, dude. Reality is reality. What we see happening every day is what's happening every day. Like, it might be your personal reality, it could be subjective, it could be anecdotal, but if you start seeing it across the United States, bro, that's the reality that we're living in. It's not anti to call out the bullshit, but whatever the fuck, I'm gonna let him talk, man. I'm just letting him talk. And I clicked on the wrong goddamn. That's why. Hold up, y'all. I clicked on the wrong goddamn one. Yeah, that's why. We on the wrong one, y'all. Yeah, hold up, man. Let me come back full screen. We on the wrong goddamn one. Because I want the full conversation. I want the full conversation.
All the rage or whatever.
I clicked in the wrong one. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't get mad at me, y'all. Don't get mad at me. We're starting over again. Clicked on the wrong one. Let me get that shit right. Yeah, right there. Boom, boom, boom. Drop that down about 120. Yep, about 120. Because we're gonna be here for a second. All right, let's try this again, man. My bad. I'm probably have to re-say what I just said anyways.
But the guy joining us right now has received death threats, which obviously I do not condone. I don't condone that in any way, shape, or form. His name is Richie Black, and you probably recognize him as one of those people in the debate that went viral. And Richie is nice enough to join us right now on the program. Richie, I do appreciate you being here. How are you?
Good, brother. Can you hear me okay? I'm not good with technology.
You sound great. Loud and clear, my friend. Let me start off with this. I'm not going to say lighter note because death threats are extremely serious. Unfortunately, I've received some of them in my career as well.
Right.
You've said some controversial things, and we'll get to that. But did you expect any of this, was the fallout, I guess, or death threats? Did you expect any of this to happen? And obviously, I call out anybody who would send those type of threats to anybody, you or anybody else. But did you expect this, Richie?
Well, I mean, after let's say achieved the virality, maybe I started considering where it was headed. However, this was the third time I was on Jubilee. So the first two times that I was on the show, most people kind of treated it like whatever. It's sort of annoying. It's kind of like, it's baited and gets people talking a little bit. And maybe you get sort of some messages online with people trying to bait you, whatever, but nothing to this extent. So, but it's not my first rodeo. Obviously, I was involved in politics, about a decade ago. I was pretty on the ground with stuff. And that was way worse back then compared to now. I mean, back then, people were actually showing up at my apartment physically. So way different than now. I mean, most of the things now is just online. So
yeah. Well, I'm sorry you've had to go through that. I want to talk about this Jubilee debate and some of the statements that you made and try to get you to clarify this. You correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're sitting right next to Mehdi Hassan, you said he's not American. Why would you say that if he's an American citizen? Help me understand that.
Yeah, if you listen to what I say you're not an American in values, right? And what I mean by that, or what I was trying to get across before I was cut off, obviously, was that, the whole idea that I wasn't an American because I was maybe anti-government or suspicious of my government, or I was making claims against, being tolerant to an authoritarian government, like how I was arguing my position. I would argue that that's more American, right? It's almost American fundamentally to be almost anti-government or be dismissive of the authority of your government. Wherein he, an example, comes to America to maybe take advantage of opportunities and exploit the system to further his political agenda.
How is he exploiting the system, though? By getting a job in media, how would you consider that exploiting the system? Doesn't he work for a paycheck? He's not stealing from anybody, right?
No, but he's influencing people, and he's coming here to discourage nationalism, right? And it doesn't even have to be positioned from an American position. You can argue from any country, any foreigner who comes to a new nation to encourage people to maybe assimilate to a universal value system rather than a nationalist value system, I would argue is sort of subversive. There seems to be a little ill intent there. In America, we don't criticize this as much, but for example, if Mehdi Hassan was to go to like Japan and criticize Japanese nationalists, I don't think the Japanese citizenry would be very tolerant of that. They wouldn't accept that with open arms.
But isn't that what makes Richie the United States great? Is that we have something called freedom of speech and everybody's entitled to their opinions?
So personally, I mean, and this is where we probably disagree, and where I disagree with most people, and what positions me as like a far right person. Obviously, I don't think that's what makes America great. In fact, I think where America is headed, sort of like this free for all, is obviously not good. I would argue we're on a declining edge, and we're leading into a dystopia. And there's far better topics to focus on rather than race and nationality. I know that particular conversation in Jubilee was solely focused on that, and the parts that they clipped out made it seem like it was all the rage or whatever, or was like the intention of the conversation. But there's far greater things to focus on in terms of what we can agree on, for example.
Oh, Richie, you'll be happy I'm not clipping out anything. This entire interview is going to be on social media. And now I might be taking little clips, but the whole interview is going to be out there for everybody to see. I certainly won't be doing that. So many asked you if you're a racist and a fascist, right? There was a point there where you said, you sound like you're a little racist. You sound like you're a little fascist. Richie, would you say that every race in this country should be treated the same, regardless of sexuality or skin color, that everybody's a human being and should be treated equal? Do you agree with that?
Treated equal in like socially, you mean? Like
the law. I would hope that everybody would treat people with respect, regardless of their
based off of, I guess, when you ask that question, my mind immediately goes to whether or not someone's like illegal or illegal or undocumented.
No, I'm not talking about,
as far as race is concerned, of course. I mean, socially, and the law applies to all races the same. I mean, there shouldn't be any laws developed specifically targeting races of people. No, of course not.
So you believe people should be treated equally, regardless of what color of their skin is, and regardless of their sexuality. They should all be treated with respect, right? Unless they give you a reason not to respect them.
I mean, that's my exact argument. That's the whole reason for my position that appears to be, let's say, radically pro-white, for example, right? Is because I don't believe white people are being treated equally. I don't believe white people are given equal opportunity, especially in social services, for example, wherein I personally have experience based off of, interpersonal relationships, family, whatever, that are dealing with homelessness, drug addiction.
Try to truly understand this. And this is the conundrum that a lot of white people find themselves in. Because I actually had an interaction at work earlier today, and I found out that a lot of people around that motherfucker call me by a certain name, and that's fucking hilarious. When you have the advantage, and you've always had the advantage, and you start to see your advantage go away and you get closer to equity for everybody, you feel like you're being discriminated against. That's one way, at least the way that he's portraying it, because he don't want to say that white people have always had the advantage in this country. They've always ran it. They've always controlled it. But now it's getting a more of a, everybody gets an opportunity instead of me automatically being first in line every fucking time. He feels discriminated against now that he has to compete with other people. But he was the same person with the advantage at the top, telling the people at the bottom, people that look like me, that, we're arguing for an opportunity to be able to vote. We live in this country, we're paying taxes. We want to be able to vote. No, you can't vote. You're only 3/5 a human being. No, you can't use our water fountain. You can't come in our restaurant. He feels like when people start to actually get to the point where they can use the same things that he can, now he's being disadvantaged. They've done a real good job on their people, yo. Especially the ones over on that side of the aisle. Because this ain't all white people. When I speak about this shit, obviously it's not all white people. But they've done a really good job. This dude feels disadvantaged that other people have the same opportunity as him. It's called competition, right? Oh, I thought we were supposed to be living in a meritocracy. You wanted to live in a meritocracy, right? Ain't that why you said Trump was doing all this shit? Meritocracy. And now that you start to get a meritocracy, well, you've been getting one, you rage against it. You don't want it to be equal. I say these people are just like women. You don't want to be treated equal. You want it to be treated special. That's what you want. You want to be treated special, not equal. And when you're treated equal, you bitch about it, just like them women do.
When you actually show up and you apply for services, or you look into what's being offered, you see a lot of systems in place that are geared specifically towards and aiding people of color and not.
So you think white people are treated worse than black people in the United States of America today?
And a systematic approach? Yeah, 100%.
Then why is it that black people are paid less than white people, both men and women, in some instances with the same actual jobs? Why do we see so few black people that are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies? Why do we see so many black people that are in poverty? Why do we see so many black people, at least in my estimation, that are not getting jobs in specific areas? If white people, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't see hate crimes on white people, nowhere near to the extent of hate crimes on black people.
So that's a great point that you brought up. Actually, hate crimes are identified differently when they're on white people. So that actually proves my point even further. That's a good point to go into, especially in California, how
Because it ain't a hate crime.
hate crimes are identified when people are targeting people, let's say, and they even verbally admit to targeting somebody because they're white. It's not identified as a hate crime in the state of California.
Richie,
So
have you ever been, sorry to interrupt, but have you ever been pulled over by a police officer because you're white?
Yes, actually, I would argue yes. I would argue yes, because I actually have friends that are cops that make the commentary that oftentimes when it comes to filling quotas, or maybe even like pulling over people that they know are going to give them the least amount of trouble on the side of the road, to be the most.
He said he has friends that are cops. They're admitting to him that they're doing something that is illegal, and his shit is to like internalize that shit and not go. Like, I would record him. Like, hey, bro, say that thing you said last week, man. I ain't trying to get you in trouble or nothing. Just say that thing you said last week, so I can go and take it down there to somebody and get the shit. Because it's against the law to have quotas. Supreme Court's already ruled on this. But do you hear him out here trying to get that to stop? No, he's just complaining that white people are getting fucking hemmed up more with the quotas, which don't even make no sense. I already covered that. You're not going to stop the people that have money to defend themselves. You're going to stop the people that don't have money to defend themselves, because that's going to be easy money for you. Like, it's stupid, bro. Like, you hearing your friends are cops and they told you this, but you ain't got no problem with that. You only got a problem with it when it happens to you. That's what I keep telling y'all. That's how a lot of these motherfuckers are. They don't have a problem when they do fuck the cops and all these other people do fucked up shit to people, as long as they're not doing that fucked up shit to them. As soon as it starts happening to them, or they feel like it's happening to them, that's when they lose their fucking minds. That's when they lose their mind. They fine with them doing it to their goddamn neighbor, but don't do it to me though. You do it to me, now it's a problem. And they wonder why they're in the position that they're in. Weak-minded.
Let's call it adhering to the law. They will instinctively pull over white people for that reason. So, I mean, yeah, you can argue that. And I've been pulled over for ridiculous reasons, so I'd argue that. Yeah,
look at your face.
Okay, I would respectfully disagree with you. I have plenty of black friends of mine that have been pulled over because of the color of their skin. No doubt, I've been in the car with them. And you think that police officers and law enforcement treat black people the same as white people in this country?
No, not at all. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm not arguing to be anti-black or anything. Like, what's interesting about that Jubilee debate, somebody asked me on a show the other day on a podcast.
No, put two and two together. You're saying that you don't believe that the police are treating black people the same way equally as white people, but then you literally just came off of saying that cops pull over white people more than black people because they're white. But you just said that they treat black people worse. Like, what the fuck? How does those two go together? I understand one could be one and one could be the other, but I'm like, if they treating black people worse, they probably gonna be the ones pulling them over too. They're not gonna pull your ass over more. His whole logic don't make no goddamn sense.
The other day, they said, like, what was the most surprising thing? And I said, to be honest with you, the thing that resonated with me the most after the debate was an attempted gotcha moment from Mehdi, where I had mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he says, "Is Neil deGrasse Tyson American?" And I said, yes, he is. And there was a slight look of surprise on Matt. Oh, he's like, okay. Like, he was surprised that I said that. I was like, how outrageous. Like, he really expected me to say.
Yeah, because you told him that he wasn't American and Neil deGrasse Tyson is American. What's the difference between the two? They're both American citizens.
Oh, no, he's black, so he's not American. Like, it's just a silly take. I actually do argue the position, even in my circles, my far right circles, that Americans, black Americans that have been here for 10 generations, of course they're American. Of course there is.
What he's saying, y'all, and that's what a lot of people are not catching on to. And I'm trying to tell people, man, you need to start learning to listen to what people are saying. He argues in his far right spaces that black people are American. So that leads us to believe that he has people that align with his beliefs, and he has to argue against them to let them know that black Americans are citizens. Why would you have to argue that? Why would you have to argue that? Unless you got a bunch of fucking racists in your group. Black people been here longer than white folks. They don't even know that. They do not know that. But you got to argue. You got to argue against your own fellow racists that black people are American citizens. Really? Don't tell me more about your group, the people that you hang around with, the ones you break bread with. Tell me more about these people, since you ain't a part of none of this.
is inequality, let's say, in the black community, I don't solely blame white supremacy or white nationalism or white persecution on black victimhood or crime rates or whatever it is. You can go into those rabbit holes and argue those positions. I want to focus more on like an abundancy mindset. I want to help America.
I don't want to talk about what the black people are dealing with, man. Let's just skip past that and let's talk about a life of abundancy. Fuck what they going through. I know we done did them dirty, but we don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about something else.
Americans first and foremost, regardless of color. That's the first thing. And secondly, I want to have an honest discussion about race and why white people are being displayed.
How the fuck do you say you want to disregard talking about the experience of black people in America? You want to talk about everybody, but then you say you want to have a genuine discussion about race. If you were talking about black people, you'd be having a racial conversation. But you don't want to talk about that. Talking out both sides is motherfucking neck. Coming out both sides. I'm listening to everything you're saying. Dude full of shit.
Or neglected, or, in my opinion, from what I see, targeted.
Richie, I'm 45 years old. I will only speak for myself on this one. I'm very white.
Mm-hmm.
Never in my life have I ever felt like I was treated differently because of the color of my skin. Never in my life have I ever felt like somebody mistreated me because I'm white. In fact, to the contrary, have you ever been followed in an electronics store and somebody thought you were going to steal something because you're white? I mean, these are...
I don't know that it's because I'm white, but I can obviously argue against your position. Anecdotally, I've had experiences. I've obviously been jumped because I'm white. See, I mean, it goes down to, like, you can argue class warfare, you can argue where we grew up, and how one identifies as white, for example. I mean, the best conversation to have in regard to, let's say, white persecution based purely off of skin color is not really a white person, but talk to a light-skinned Latino, for example, and ask them what their experience has been growing up in a densely Mexican area as a light-skinned Latino, and ask them if they believe that they're being persecuted simply by the color of their skin. You would hear some crazy stories, and a lot of them have to do with physical abuse.
So you don't think that systemic racism?
Well, let's go and stop that right there. Somebody trying to speak on the Hispanic community. The Hispanic community is very racist against darker skinned Hispanics. So you to sit here and say that the light skinned Hispanic just faces discrimination and whoop in the Hispanic community, you're arguing from the same position as that light skinned Hispanic, but in America, as a white person. Light skinned white Hispanics. Go look at Telemundo, y'all. If y'all think I'm lying, go watch Telemundo and tell me what brown-skinned ass Hispanic is up on that channel. They put the white Hispanics on there non-stop. The light-skinned Hispanics by his term. The white Hispanics, the light Hispanics run Espanol. All them countries down there. They do not. Majority of them motherfuckers are brown-skinned. They got a small minority of motherfuckers running their countries and discriminating against everybody else. The same thing we do in this country. It's a majority that's doing it. He's sitting here trying to use them as an example. Bro, that's the worst fucking example in the possible world, too. The people that get promoted the most, the people that you see on TV, the people that have the most money. If you go to type in Ecuador, type in fucking Venezuela, type in Guatemala, look at the richest person in that country. They not brown-skinned. They are white Hispanics. White Hispanics. They are very colorist in the Hispanic community. And they very racist in that bitch too. They get it from y'all. Because they got that white in them. Let's keep going. Yeah, dude, I don't know what the fuck he talking about.
Exists towards African Americans in this country?
That lets you know you got a dumb.
If Ahmad,
not educated at all.
Let me ask you another question.
Well, let me rephrase that, because systemically, you can argue a position of like cultural push, because I do think there's a cultural agenda against African Americans to discourage them from pulling away from a ghettoized culture, an aggressive culture, a rap culture. I think that's intentional. The more I look into that, the more.
What? Man, hold up. Say that shit again, bro. Hold up. Say that again.
No.
If Ahmad, okay. Let me ask you another question.
Well, let me rephrase that, because systemically, you can argue a position of like cultural push, because I do think there's a cultural agenda against African Americans to discourage them from pulling away from a ghettoized culture, an aggressive culture, a rap culture. I think that's intentional. The more I look into that, the more I'm.
There's an agenda in America to pull black people away from a ghetto type, culture that, that heathen type shit. There's an agenda. What's the agenda? Just talking shit about them and locking them up? Hold on, let me come full screen when I say that. What's the systemic agenda? Just to lock them up and talk shit about them? It ain't nothing like that opioid epidemic, right? You know, like where you see there's a problem and we want to put billions of dollars of funding into helping people, but when it was a crack shit, just lock them up. This ain't no fucking agenda to fucking help black people change shit. That's crazy, bro. I'm trying to tell you, people in positions of privilege really don't understand. If they see somebody that's been discriminated against get anything, they feel like it's wrong. That's why black people in America can't get reparations. Because everybody's equal. Everybody's the same. I know I drive a Bentley and you drive a goddamn Ford Fiesta or some shit. We're the same. It's like, no, we're not, buddy. You got a job that I should have got. You got it. You ain't even got the experience. Like, nah, bro, let's be real. Everything that they keep trying to push out, they're just projecting this shit, man. These folks that argue these type of points, bro, they got a sickness in their head, bro. They honestly got a victim mentality. They will come around here and tell us, oh, you're being a victim. You're complaining. You're all this. Bitch, no. We're calling out a problem. You're being a victim because ain't nothing happening to you. Don't let people project their evil onto you, man. Don't let people do that. I had somebody try to do it today. Don't let it do it. Don't let them do it to you. Check that shit right at the fucking front door. You ain't gonna project your bullshit on me. You keep that shit to yourself. And that's all he's doing. What his people are doing to other folks, he's projecting and saying other people are doing it to him. Not the case.
Thinking that that's kind of intentional.
Well, I think of the Ahmaud Arbery case, right, as an example, Richie, where 3 white men pretty much lynched this guy. And then for months, nobody was arrested. You have 3 white men and 1 innocent black man who was jogging, who did absolutely nothing wrong, and he's dead. He was murdered. He was lynched. Several months later, the only reason why those people were brought to justice is because one of them released a video to a news agency. My question to you is, if those were 3 black men and they murdered an innocent white guy jogging down the street, do you think that would have gone down the same way? Do you think that the police would have shoved it under the rug and would have lied to the mother and would have told the mother, well, it was your son that was in the wrong? See, that's the point I'm trying to get at here. Ahmaud Arbery died an innocent black man jogging down the street because he was black. He was racially profiled, and let's call it for what it was. It was a lynching. If it was the other way around, and if it was 3 black men, don't you think they would have been put in handcuffs that day?
It's hard to say. So, I mean, again.
You hear that? You see the denial? It's hard to say. I'll give him a better one. You got Ahmaud Arbery. They said that he came, and I talked about this the other day, quick run through. They say he came out of a house that was under construction, no doors, no windows, nothing on it. But the neighbors saw him come out of there, and they decided that they needed to be the neighborhood police. So they chased this young man down the street, shot him in the fucking face with a shotgun multiple times. They didn't get arrested for months. The only reason they got arrested, like he said, is because somebody shared a video. One of them thought it was okay now to share the video of us deleting this kid. And after he shared that, all hell broke loose. But the shit that happened in Cincinnati where a white dude smacks a black dude in the face and it's on camera, and then all them black folks beat their ass up, all the black people arrested within a week. So you delete a black person on the street, no investigation, no nothing. We just let it ride for months. You defend yourself and beat some white people up after they attack you, arrested within the next week. We're living in 2 different fucking Americas, y'all. And when it comes to the justice system, I don't know what he's talking about. That was a great example. He should have used the Cincinnati shit, but I think this happened before the Cincinnati brawl. Like, bro, this ain't fair. It ain't never been fair. And you know it ain't fair. It ain't fair when it comes to men and women. It ain't fair between white women and black women. We got levels to this shit, how we judge shit. But to sit here and act like, man, nigga, please.
We can pick apart specific instances. White persecution, especially from cops. Like this is an argument too that I think surprised Mehdi Hassan when he said, it's not very conservative of you for you to take an anti-cop approach. Well, gosh, I'm losing his name again. I lost the name during the debate, and I'm losing his name again, and which makes me feel terrible. But I'm bad at names, so forgive me.
Dude,
I can send it to you later. But there was an incident in Oklahoma where a white man was having a panic attack, and he called in saying he was going to commit suicide. Cops showed up, and as he was having a panic attack, I forget what the discussion was, but he posed no threat. He caused no physical violence to the cops or whatever. They record him on camera, these cops laughing at him, teasing him, tormenting him. He ended up dying, actually. He ended up having a heart attack. And as he was dying, they were making jokes about him suffocating on his own spit and everything like that. And he died in front of them. None of those police officers faced persecution. They didn't lose their job. They weren't even suspended. They barely went into review. You know what I mean? Nobody knows that guy's name. I can't even remember his name, and I'm bringing him up. You know what I mean? But he got zero media attention. And the cops physically abused him a little bit. They roughed him up. I think they put their knee on top of his head. No one knows about this guy, right? So
well, obviously that's horrible. Obviously
obviously it is horrible. But the problem that you don't understand, and I say this every time I cover my cop videos on Thursdays, y'all. He was probably the same. He still is probably in the same group of people when he argues against what happened to George Floyd. I bet money he was like, no, George Floyd was a criminal. He had fentanyl in his system. He probably one of those people. But wonder why they did it to this so-called white guy that he's talking about. Because you okayed it over here, dummy. You okayed it. You gave it the green fucking light. Yeah, do it. Not understanding that, yeah, I understand that's a black person that they doing it to, but you got to understand how your laws are set up, the way that your people wrote it. That's just a person technically underneath the law, right? So I can do it to you too, dummy. You okay to happen to other people, but then complain when it happens to you. What the fuck you think was going to happen? What do you think? What did you think was going to happen? I feel for the dude if that's the true case of what happened, but goddamn, what you think was going to happen? You okay to be done to other folks. And now you bitching about it because now it's happening to somebody close to you, somebody you know, somebody you feel a relationship with, something that you got in common with. Now it's a problem, huh? You're showing your own evil, and your evil's coming back to bite you in the ass.
The same, but my argument is it's crazy. It's kind of like one of those things where we can just go back and forth.
That's crazy.
I agree that there's injustice. There's inequality. One of the things that bugs me the most living out here in California is I go to Los Angeles and you see these homeless people. I don't care if they're black, white, whatever, but it bothers me so much. I mean, to the point of
okay, what
you
would
call it rage
about?
almost, like where I don't think there should be any American, regardless of race, that should be homeless, hungry, disaffected.
Of course, I think most people would agree with that.
Right.
But I want to ask you a little bit. I would assume, and maybe I'm wrong, that you voted for Donald Trump, that you're a Donald Trump supporter.
So I voted for him I didn't vote this last election. I did vote for him the first his first term.
Got you. So you gave examples of police brutality, and we agree. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It's horrible. It's wrong, and police should be held to account. But would you also agree with me that it doesn't matter whether you beat a cop at a Black Lives Matter protest or whether you beat a cop on January 6th? Both are equally as wrong, and those people should not have been pardoned by Donald Trump. Some of those officers were beaten with their own batons, and Donald Trump called them patriots and hostages. So would you also agree with me that you're not a patriot, you're not a hostage when you beat a police officer?
So, and this is the point I was trying to make during the...
Oh, here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. That was a simple yes or no. Here we go. Watch this shit. Watch how he defends January 6ers.
If we lived in this, like, if we were actually operating equally, if I felt like everything was fair, if I felt like, let's say, people on the left and the people on the right were operating under the same laws and the same jurisdictions and the same charges universally, I would argue, of course, like, I wouldn't disagree with you, right? Where I disagree with you is I think unfortunately, I don't want it to be this way, but I think we're past that point now. We're past this point where it's like, I believe the right for too long has been operating carefully and cautiously and calmly and under the law because they're terrified of, I don't know, retribution, or they want to do things fairly, or they want to do things bureaucratically, whatever the case might be. But I have personal experiences, and I have a lot of people I know that are so terrified of, like, the public perception, let's say, of their behaviors, wherein you can't even really encourage them to protest or write an Instagram post because they're worried about how it's going to affect, the way they look. The left, on the other hand, kicks our ass at this. I mean,
Did you not ask him a question about January 6th? I'm confused right now. I think he asked him a question about January 6th and those people not being pardoned. Like, ain't it wrong that they got pardoned? This motherfucker talking about the right and the left get treated differently when it pertains to the law. I'm just gonna let him ride. Look, this is crazy, y'all. please pay attention to what this motherfucker is doing. Bro, you're not answering the question first and foremost. And now you're trying to justify what in your process of not answering the question, you're trying to justify what these people did. That's what he's trying to do right now, y'all. Pay attention to what he's doing.
I've been, let's say, applauding the left for years now because they operate sort of collectively as one. We're talking from the top down. We're talking about representatives to judges to mayors to representatives in your city to maybe left-leaning police or racially conscious police that are operating for the sake of their own racial benefits, and or people as low as the guy at the sandwich shop who sees you walk in with a Trump hat and then spits in your sandwich. Or
well, that's against the law. That's
no, I know it is. I know it is, but we have too many examples now at this point where none of that stuff.
But here's the difference, I think, between me and you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe people like you. If first of all, if somebody with a MAGA hat goes into a private restaurant, the owner has the right to say, "I don't want you here. Get the hell out of here," and that's legal. On the other hand, if somebody sits down and has a sandwich and somebody spits in their sandwich, that's wrong and that's illegal. And I wouldn't call that person a patriot or a hostage. What I'm trying to get to, and I think we're getting into the weeds here, it's very simple. There are people on video who pled guilty and they beat cops with their own batons. So, Richie, while you might think that maybe some people on the right are treated worse than people on the left, okay, fine. I don't know if I agree with you on that. But why can't we just say those people that beat cops, that committed violent acts on January 6th, they're not hostages, they're not patriots, they're criminals? Is that hard to admit?
I will say it's hard to admit only because...
Why?
Really?
Jesus Christ.
Why is that hard to admit? I'm ready to hear it too. Why is that hard to admit?
Well, simply because I think that, like, for example, now that we're getting into this conversation, nobody talks about Ashley Babbitt. No one talks about her. She was.
I'm happy to talk about Ashley Babbitt with you, but why is it hard? And I'll get to that. I promise.
No, what I'm trying to argue, though, to get my point across, what I'm trying to argue is,
this is crazy.
It's hard to place judgment on those people, and I argue on the left too. When you're in a riot, what I'm saying is when you're in a riot situation, because I've been in these situations before. When you're in a riot situation, we're talking melee, chaos. There's aggression coming from all.
So the black people who beat police officers at Black Lives Matter protest, you would say the same thing about them? You would not call out their violence against officers?
I would
apply that to them as well.
I mean, honestly, to some degree, yes. I would argue yes, because
that motherfucker just had to fight to say that shit. That was bullshit. Yeah, yes. Yeah. Nah, bitch, man, look, hold on. Where Mario?
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I'm not going to shift on my position. I don't know the specific circumstances.
We know the specifics. We know the specific circumstances of those January 6ers. Some of those who beat police officers with their own batons. Some of them pled guilty. There's overwhelming evidence. They admitted it. There's video of them taking an officer who was being bashed against the wall, grabbing his baton, and beating him with it. That's the part I don't understand. Why can't you just say that's horrible, that's wrong, they're criminals, they're not hostages, they're not patriots?
I would never say they're criminals. I would never say they're not patriots.
I defended it.
But that's also that would also be me conceding that I agree with those laws in the first place, or I agree with the.
You don't agree with the law that if you beat a police officer, assault and battery on a police officer, it's a felony?
I don't agree with conceding to those who are administering those laws. Let's say I don't.
What a privilege to be in America, to be like, well, I don't agree with that law, so I'm gonna break it whenever the fuck I feel like it. And if you bother me about it, I don't feel like that's right, because I don't agree with the law that. Man, bro, what privilege do you have to think like that in America? And I know a lot of people that think like that. I don't wear a seatbelt. When I got my driver's license, they didn't make us wear seatbelts. Well, it's a seatbelt law now. Didn't have to wear when I got it. It's like, okay. But y'all talk about law and order and all this woo-doo stuff. Okay. Be the first one to say, well, he ain't have a seatbelt on. That'd be the first one, but they break that law every day.
Agree with the judges who passed down those laws, who interpreted those laws or interpreted a situation to pass the criminal charges on those prisoners. That's what I don't agree with, right? So if somebody is hell-bent, let's say, on sending a message, which I believe the system was hell-bent on sending a message to those J6 prisoners, and I am one of these people who believes that it was to some degree allowed to elevate and escalate.
They should have sent a message. Y'all tried to interrupt the procedure for electing the next president of the United States. Bro, that's some national type shit. This ain't like no goddamn pageant at your local school when your kid fucking goddamn in it. Now, Brett, this is a function of the entire country to keep this country being a country. and y'all interrupted it trying to overthrow it, talking about hang Mike Pence. Like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? The fuck is he talking about?
Such a strong level of aggression because it was going to be used as a manipulation tactic to squash protesters, to squash the right, and to say, hey, look what happens when you actually voice your opinion. We're going to stick you in prison.
That's not voicing.
7 years.
Beating a police officer is not voicing your opinion. Destruction of property is not voicing your opinion. Richie, you know that. You know the difference.
No, I don't know that actually, because if you look historically in world history, when has there ever been any sort of real shift or movement in politics where it actually mattered, where it actually shifted the culture and or let's say provoked a revolutionary shift?
Why should politics have to do this? If you beat a police officer at a Black Lives Matter protest, you're just as wrong as if you beat a police officer on January 6th.
What I'm arguing in nuance is the reason why I'm not saying anything against like even the Black Lives Matter protesters is like, I can acknowledge that for those Black Lives Matter protesters, that police officer who's getting his orders from the people that they believe are not on their side is an enemy. It's an enemy in front of you, right? It's somebody who's trying to prevent you and your will and your ability to make change in the way that you see fit, right? It's this, you're basically asking, do I have this sort of blanket acceptance to authority for all cops and all law? And the answer is no. And it's one of the
it's not really to apply to just cops. It's just a rule of law, period.
Yeah, but
you can't physically assault a human being. You certainly can't physically assault a police officer. Why can't we just call out political violence in general? Because that's certainly what took place with at least 600 people on January 6th. And I don't believe that January 6th happens if Donald Trump doesn't lie and say the election was stolen, which it wasn't.
I mean, then you can argue that it wasn't an insurrection then.
I don't care what we call it. What? We might agree on this.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care whether people call it an insurrection or a violent mob or whatever. Here's what we do know. They would not have been there if Donald Trump had conceded and done what every other president has done in history. He still lies today and says the election was rigged with literally no evidence proven in a court of law. And if he didn't lie back then, Richie, January 6th doesn't happen.
Do you believe some of those sentences were overly harsh for the people who
y'all see how they always keep just moving past the point that, yeah, y'all had a bunch of people storm the Capitol because all he's been doing the whole time is trying to defend it. He tried to justify the action of them doing it. Well, what if you feel like this and they tell you this and all that bullshit. Now we're on to, man, look, motherfucker been convicted, whatever the fuck. Well, don't you feel like some of those convictions were overthrown? I mean, just too much. They just threw too many convictions on them. And bitch, it was wrong. How about that? We shouldn't even be sitting here having a conversation this long about that. That shit was wrong. And the people that got locked up for it should have been locked up for it. They got let out of jail. Like, bro, you can say it was wrong now. Like, fuck, you already got your goddamn way. These people trying to overthrow the goddamn country. We saw it. It was on national television, man. That's crazy. It was on that. I was sitting there at work like, God damn, these white folks lose their mind. That's what I was on. That's what I'm talking about, man. These white folks losing their mind. I know somebody gonna come here and say, well, there were other races of people in there. Man, look, less than 1%. Less than 1%, like that girl on CNN talking about less than 2% of white people had slaves. Less than 1%. How about that shit now?
I think guilty that maybe we're just standing there, maybe calmly walk through.
Yeah, but I'm not talking. Yeah, but if you notice that, I didn't ask you about those people. I would say that of all the 1,500 plus people,
that's what's so hard to discern though, because you're asking me about people that I don't know about, like quite literally, and I'm not saying this because I didn't take the time to look, and I have maybe in my circle, and you can send me some stuff that you have. I didn't really see a great deal of these attackers. I heard about it. I read about it. I didn't see any video evidence of it.
You're telling me you didn't see any video evidence of January 6th, of police officers being beaten, police officers. Okay, that's shocking to me. There's like hundreds of videos out there. But
I mean, I see.
It was all over fucking TV the whole day, the whole night, the whole next day. They were showing nothing but video of these white folks beating up on these cops. He talking about he didn't see nothing. I ain't see nothing, man. I ain't see shit. I ain't see a goddamn thing. Okay, you ain't see nothing, huh? Okay, I got you, buddy.
Retaliatory efforts from a mob from a mob crowd pushing against cops. I have seen that. I don't see like any singular cop that was targeted and brutally assaulted or anything like that. I haven't seen.
Man, it was a cop they showed on CNN, y'all. They was smushing him in between the door. He was in between like them, going into the Capitol building type doors, metal and steel and shit. It was heavy, and his ass is in full riot gear, and somehow he done got in between the door because the door opened like this. Somehow he in between, and the people on the other side, the rioters are pushing the door, and the people on his folks on the other side can't get him out the door because they smushing the door up on his ass. Like it was all over CNN. I don't know what the fuck this dude told me. He ain't see nothing. He ain't see nothing, y'all. Like think about that. He knows so much about January 6th, but he didn't see nothing. He ain't see shit. That's crazy.
That. I really
There
had
are cops that had heart attacks. There are 140 officers that were.
I think he had a heart attack like 6 weeks after
No.
January 6th or something.
No,
Very
Ryan
Stone
had a heart
he had
attack.
health conditions before
Ryan
that, too.
Sitnick died the following day. There were 140 officers that were injured that day that had to go to the hospital. There were people that lost fingers. There are multiple officers that have traumatic brain injury. So I don't think that's up for debate. There's a lot of people that were hurt and injured that day. If you want to talk about Ashley Babbitt, I wanted to give you the opportunity because
But I also what I do contend is like, if you were to put yourself in their shoes, let's say for argument's sake,
which shoes, which people,
the shoes of January 6th people.
Would have never
I know
been
you're not- I know you're not a Trump
Exactly.
supporter, but let's just say you can, through fiction or whatever, you
Why
romanticize
you
whatever
want
you
me
have to do to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
That man trying to get you to sympathize with evil and wrong. Think about this, man. Like, bro, people need to understand when they got a devil in front of them. I'm just being honest with you. He's trying to get you to be like, man, look, just put yourself in their shoes, man. Look, man, you feel like they stole this election, man. Fuck them laws, man. We need to go down there and fucking hang Mike Pence. Man, come on, man. That's what he's saying. That's what I do. You are on the side of the devil, bro. That is wrong. He trying to get him to sympathize with fucking evil ass people. And people need to pay attention to that shit, man. Because if anybody else did that shit, man, he wouldn't be going for that. He wouldn't be going for that.
You genuinely believe that the government is rigged. You genuinely believe they're aiming to destroy you, your livelihood, everything you stand for, all rights that you have, and you genuinely believe that election was stolen, which gives you the impression that
Okay, you genuinely believe a whole bunch of shit that ain't true.
the impression that the system is fully fucked beyond repair, right?
Yeah, we
What
gotta watch
is
the outward. We're on the radio, so try to watch your language.
Oh, pardon me. Sorry
No
about that. Sorry about
No
that.
problem. Go ahead.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, you believe this, right?
Mhm.
What is the appropriate response?
Yeah. Well,
from
let me
somebody
give it
who
internally.
believes it? I
Let
know
me
it's
give-
easy
let
to
me
take
give a
from a
preface.
rational approach, but
let me give a preface, and I say this with all due respect. If you believe all those things, then you're an imbecile. If you think that the election was stolen,
that's not my question. My
Well,
question
listen,
is if
there
you're
are
able
people-
to put yourself in that position, right?
I could-
It's the same
can't.
argument with abortion.
I can't put myself in that position.
He wants you to dumb yourself down, racialize and racify yourself to understand his position. Bitch, you wrong. How about that? That's the way I understand your position. You're wrong. No matter how much you try to skate around this shit. I told you, man, a lot of these dudes act like the women that we talk about in certain spaces. Like that, no accountability. Don't take any responsibility for their actions. Y'all see why it's always on the logo on the main channel. Accountability and responsibility. Like it's always everybody else's fucking fault for why the fuck I do the fucked up shit that I do. That's not the case. You just a fucked up individual. Like that's it. You just a fucked up individual. That's it.
Then
Because
how
I'm not
can
an
you ever
idiot.
take a genuine, nuanced approach at
Well,
really
you crazy?
judging
That don't
people who
justify
really
what
believe
you
that,
do.
regardless of
Yeah,
whether or
well,
not
there's
it's true?
people that then do you take the approach of listening to people and taking people for what they're worth that think the earth is flat? I mean, listen, the bottom line is there's no evidence.
No,
Zero.
it's not that I value those people necessarily,
not
but
the
at the same
flat
time, in
earthers,
order
though.
for
Not the
me
flat
to
earthers.
understand their actions, in order for me to understand the things that they do, and whether or not
My
I
boy
can,
getting
let's say,
triggered, bro. He getting
rationalize
triggered.
to some degree
I'm
why
triggered,
they
too.
do what they did. Yes, I
Okay,
can put
so
myself
let me give you a
in
good
anyone
answer.
else's shoes.
Let me try to give you a good answer as best I can. Even if, which I never would, because yes, I do characterize those people as idiots, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, I'll answer your question. I think the election was stolen. I think that the government's lying to us. The last thing that I would do is beat up a bunch of innocent police officers who literally have nothing to do with election integrity or the elections. It makes absolutely no sense. And Mike Pence didn't do anything wrong. They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." They were beating police officers. They were defecating on Nancy Pelosi's desk. These people had nothing to do with it, even if that was the case, which, by the way, it's not.
I mean, I definitely don't promote defecating on a desk.
Goddamn right.
Everything he just rambled off is 100% true. Everything. Now watch this guy.
But yeah, it's like the first time I've ever heard that too. You're the first person to ever bring that up to my attention. I never.
He don't know nothing about politics.
I'm glad we agree on that. If you hear that somebody defecated on a desk, which we agree, you would say that's awful, that's wrong. Why not the same reaction?
I would say it's
beats a cop.
Because it's kind of like you said earlier, like when you mentioned that you've never faced like persecution for being white or appearing white or whatever. I also kind of like lend towards the argument, like maybe I can ask you this personal question: have you ever been in a fist fight?
Yes.
Have you ever been physically assaulted by somebody?
Yes.
And you had nowhere to go?
Yes, and it had nothing to do with the color of my skin.
No, I know, but I'm saying in that situation,
Sure.
Did you operate rationally? Did you sit there and you had time to think about the best approach to move forward?
Okay, but here's my problem with this argument.
Bitch, these motherfuckers at January 6th, because I know that's what he referred to. These motherfuckers got on fucking planes and drove from across the goddamn country. I got people from my state that was on the FBI arrest list at the January 6th. Like, who the fuck in Alabama wasting their good hard-earned money to fly to Washington, D.C. to go watch this motherfucker bitch about getting an election stolen from him? Like, but just by happenstance, they happen to be there. Just look. The fuck is going, bruh? This is evil. I'm sorry, man. This is evil, y'all. This is evil. This is evil. This is so wrong. Look, you have to classify it in the evil category. When you hear people talking about shit this way, like, bruh,
Argument, Richie, with respect, you are comparing somebody physically assaulting me and me in self-defense when we know that was not self-defense. How do we know that? Based on video and evidence, and it was proven in a court of law. Police officers, those were people that were violent. That wasn't self-defense.
Again, if you've been in these situations, and I have been, for example, right? And there's videos of me, unfortunately involved in physical melee in rallies or whatever. I would be lying to you if I said, for example, that, when you're in that situation and sort of like you're getting hit from all angles and there's chaos everywhere, if there was a police officer or whoever, it doesn't matter who it was in front of me, hitting me with a baton or trying to push me around or dragging me to the floor, yeah, at some point you have to understand that retaliation against those efforts is maybe a necessity, or maybe you feel like it's a necessity in that moment. That's why it's so easy to administer like from a high tower.
So can we apply that to black people getting stopped on the side of the road and running away from police and getting shot in the back? Can we apply that same logic? No, we ain't gonna apply it there. He could be fearing for his life and shit. You went to a fucking rally that turned into a motherfucking riot. This motherfucker getting pulled over. You intentionally went into the situation that you in. This motherfucker's in a happenstance, and he runs away and gets shots in the back. We gonna give him the right to run away? Nah, we not. Nah, you the same motherfucker that'll sit right over there and say, yeah, he shouldn't have ran. They be the same people that'll sit there and say that black person shouldn't have ran. That's why look, man, this is devil in sheep's clothing, bro. Devil in sheep's clothing. Let's keep going.
Position of what's right and what's wrong. It's like we weren't there. We don't know.
It's wrong.
You don't know what would have happened.
To physically assault a police officer. I think it's wrong for officers.
But I would be careful, even because I know you're on the left, and I would be very careful if I was saying that. Whatever position you are, I would just be careful really
about. He said you need to be careful about fucking assaulting police officers. Don't put what. Like, I really see where he going with this, because like, bro, what the fuck did he say? You got to be careful about what?
Example that when you're in that situation and sort of like you're getting hit from all angles and there's chaos everywhere, if there was a police officer or whoever, it doesn't matter who it was in front of me, hitting me with a baton or trying to push me around or dragging me to the floor, yeah, at some point you have to understand that retaliation against those efforts is maybe a necessity, or maybe you feel like it's a necessity in that moment. That's why it's so easy to administer like from a high tower position of what's right and what's wrong. It's like we weren't there. We don't know.
It's wrong.
You don't know what would have happened.
To physically assault a police officer. I think it's wrong for officers.
But I would be careful, even because I know you're on the left, and I would be very careful if I was saying that. Whatever position you are, I would just be really careful saying
it's not about politics.
Because let's say, for argument's sake, a fascist government comes in, they're super right wing, they're dictating the streets, they're administering all sorts of laws that you don't agree with. In your opinion, they're persecuting your freedoms, whatever it might be. And your position, what, remains the same, that you should never physically assault or defend yourself against a cop?
Defending yourself is very different than assault and battery on a police officer. Those are two.
But I'm saying, like, at that point, would you maintain the same position that, of course, I shouldn't assault a cop, even if the cops were administering a fascist regime against me and my freedoms?
Well, that's your opinion that it could be a fascist
But that was
regime.
also their opinion.
Okay,
That's
but guess
my whole
what?
point.
Just because you have an opinion that there's a fascist regime does not give you the right to physically assault people.
No,
you
but
know that.
the argument isn't about right. The argument is whether or not you, as a person, as an individual, would do something about it. And that's my whole thing.
Okay, you can have your own opinions. You're entitled to your own opinions, whether you think this is a fascist government or not, or was. I would disagree. We have our own opinions on the government. The government is not always honest with us, but just because you have, I guess this is the point I'm making, just because you might have your opinions on a government does not give you the right to break the law. It doesn't give you the right to physically assault people. It certainly doesn't give you the right to beat cops. These people had the right to defend themselves in a court of law. They had video evidence of the prosecution, which they showed in court. Some of these people pled guilty to assault and battery. I think they're scumbags. And yes, I'm going to say this. If you assault a police officer and it's not self-defense and you're not a victim, then I think you are a scumbag and you belong in jail. I would say that for anybody that assaults people.
I mean, again, you kind of said it yourself. I have my opinion. You have yours. I do believe in all.
Yeah, but no, the fucked up shit is his opinion actually sounds more reasonable. Because he did put in the 3 caveats. You defending yourself against a cop, like, look, and you're not in the wrong, like, look, yeah, I agree with you defending yourself. But just blatantly doing it because you believe an election got stolen? Because somebody told you that for fucking 9 months? Bitch, you look like you sound like you look stupid, like a dummy. Look, you was in the slow class. That type of shit. What?
Human history, whenever there's been an oppressive government or a shadowy government or any sort of thing operating under the guise of freedom and fairness, but and really truly oppressing a people, and retaliatory efforts are, they come about because of it. I think it's a normal thing.
Well, Richie, I want to get to a few other quick topics here. Just joining us, his name is Richie Black. He was in the Mehdi Hassan Jubilee debate that went viral. I want to ask you this, though. The guy who self-admitted that he's a fascist, I know you didn't do that, but there was another gentleman there that did.
Sure. That
was a cringe moment for me watching that. What went through your mind when you have a guy 5 feet away from you that's laughing and self-admitting that he's a fascist?
Well, I think, Connor, his tactic was, whatever name you're going to levy at me, I'm going to take ownership of it rather than try my best to backstab and or reject it as a form of tactic for debate. As far as, personally, you can see me in the video, I actually start laughing because I think it is hilarious that Mehdi Hassan is using these words to sort of dampen the spirit, to sort of like get you off guard, to sort of make you feel shameful and guilty. And there's a level of shock from Mehdi when you do take ownership or claim towards these names. Like, you're not going to levy these names against me to make me feel bad about my approach or my opinion. And it's a cheap tactic from the left. They've used it for so long. And unfortunately,
You know what would be a better tactic to combat that? If somebody call you something, let's say somebody called me a fascist. You know my response to that is, what is that? Explain to me what that is. Tell me what it is. Fuck them up right there. Because if that doesn't apply to me, tell me what the fuck it is. They're going to have to fucking sit there and look stupid themselves. Don't allow people to put fucking labels on you, but saying that I'm just gonna accept it. Yeah, I'm a fascist. That was his strategy. Nah, that's what that motherfucker was. He admitted it openly. He trying to get somebody else another pass. People catch the slick shit that they doing, please. He said he had a tactic of disagreeing. No, he only agreed to one thing. He only agreed to one thing, and he was a fascist. That's what he agreed to. Like all that other shit he didn't agree to. He argued against it. So you trying to get this dude a pass for saying what he was? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. It wasn't true. Look, y'all have to go back and watch the video, man. Go back and watch the Mehdi Hassan versus 20 white conservatives, man. Go watch that. Far right conservatives.
Even for the left or for righteousness' sake,
Jubilee.
Because the left has used that tactic for so long, name calling and trying to shame you into submission constantly, they are losing that battle.
Oh, wait a second, Richie. The leader of the free world, Donald Trump, is the guy who literally has nicknames for people that he disagrees with. So if we're going to talk about name calling, the president of the United States is the guy that literally has a name for everybody that he disagrees with. So when you say the left is doing it, I don't know. I mean, Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist. He's a 34-count felon.
He doesn't do it to, and he might try to be doing it to shut people up, but he does it, I would argue, from more juvenile approach. You're not going to really get me to defend Donald Trump and his personality. I'm not, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what I'm saying
It ain't what you do, it's why you do it. Is that what he's saying?
is calling somebody a racist, a fascist, a Nazi. These are tactics that are used because
He self-admitted that he was a fascist.
No, I know, but again, and Connor has stated this multiple times that he's not a fascist, and I know Connor actually
But then
personally.
maybe on national,
We've had strong conversations about this. He's not a fascist. Like,
okay, well, then maybe on national television, you probably shouldn't laugh about it and say, "Yeah, I guess I am a fascist." That'd be a very stupid thing to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument, but I've been saying this on many podcasts as well. It's like people don't understand Jubilee, and I'm limited on what I'm allowed to say about Jubilee.
Fault. Y'all, hold on, watch this, y'all. Now it's about to be Jubilee fault because one of the guys that was on there with him admitted that he was something after he got called something because people saw something in him. It's Jubilee's fault. Not his fault for being that and admitting to being that. It's Jubilee's fault. Let's see how he tries to shape this now.
And our experience there. But you have to understand, like, the way that it's constructed and the way that it's served up to the general public is specifically tailored to piss you off. And if it pisses you off, right?
It's for ratings.
But if you were there in the room and in between sets or like in between recordings and stuff, and the conversations we were even having with Mehdi, I promise you that level of vitriol that they sell to you on screen is not present at all. There's jokes being made, there's casual conversations being made. And like I said before, I've been on Jubilee, that was my third time. There is this general sense of like,
disregard all the bad shit that they showed that did happen, because we had good moments too. Bro, and people wonder why society is the way it is, man. People wonder why people get treated a certain way when other people don't. Bruh, he's trying to throw out every goddamn excuse he can for the vitriol and the racist ass bullshit that was said on that show that day, where people painted themselves, people that look like him, painted themselves in a very bad light. Saying that, look, don't just focus on the bad shit. Look, we had good times. Y'all didn't see that we was joking and laughing and, making million. It's the same shit they say about in America. Yeah, I know we had slaves, but look at all the great things we've done. Look at all these things. Trying to justify evil, trying to make light of it. Bruh, no. But let you fuck up. You think they gonna make light of what the fuck you do? No. Look, we went to war with the country because we said they had weapons of mass destruction. Still to this day ain't found a goddamn fucking weapon of mass destruction. But you want to take me lightly when I say all the shit. Man, please.
This is just for fun. The directors sell it to you that way. The room feels that way.
There's no
in-depth seriousness to it.
That might be true. That might be true because I wasn't there, but all I could go by is what people say. And obviously, you guys talked about a lot of serious topics. I want to ask you quickly, Richie, about how you feel about what's going on in this country right now under the Donald Trump regime. And then I want to get your criticism of the left, if that's okay. But let's start with Donald Trump. A lot of people feel like we're headed towards a recession. The tariffs aren't working. There are undocumented immigrants in this country, some of whom are not getting due process. In the Constitution, it says any person, not any citizen. While this is all going on, we've learned that Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. MAGA Republicans for years have been talking about release the files. And now all of a sudden, Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are being mum about it, and they're treating Maxwell like she's some sort of VIP. The FAA is a mess. Unemployment numbers are going up. Terrible job growth.
I think unemployment's down, actually.
I think it was like 4.2, but the job growth was horrible last month, way under where it was supposed to be, at least where people projected it. It was the worst jobs report in 5 years. The last time we had that job report that bad, it was December of 2020, the last month of Donald Trump's administration. So what has Donald Trump done well? What is he doing besides, in my opinion, ruining the country?
I mean, again, it's going to be hard for me to defend Trump's position right now. I don't agree with a lot of things he's doing. I don't agree with his position.
Hold on. Right. Watch him go into trying to defend this shit. All that shit that he said is true. All the jobs are down. Didn't even get 1 million jobs. I mean, didn't even get 1 million jobs at it. It was projected more than 1 million. Unemployment actually is fucking higher than what it should be. And when you say unemployment higher is bad, It means more people are unemployed. Unemployment's higher. Tariffs ain't working. None of that shit. All the woo. You just fucking shit up. And it ain't even been 8 months. Watch his response to it. Everything he just stated was true.
An alliance with Israel. I don't stand with that whatsoever. I don't agree with his position on H-1B. I don't agree with his position on tech oligarchs being involved in the government and persuading politicians to kind of move towards an AI takeover in the country. I think that everything's being geared up to something much bigger. I mean, this sort of like neocon right-wing Trumpism approach, regardless of how I feel about Trump, like on a personal level, I'm starting to see things from a different perspective, maybe even more like an independent perspective, where I think there's something much more devious at play here. I don't really think maybe even the numbers matter as much. Like we actually do see a lower unemployment, but you're right. I mean, we're not seeing job growth, and I also think that's intentional. I think it's because what we're going to see in maybe the next six to 8 months has something to do with like a complete AI takeover in the job market. And I mean, I'd ask you, what's your opinion on the H-1Bs, like him bringing over, all these Indians to replace tech positions, and arguably about deportations. I don't really get into the woods with this. I think Obama, he still has the crown for the most deportations out of all presidents.
But he wasn't.
This man sitting over here talking about fucking conspiracy theories. That man told you what's actually happening, and you just started talking about conspiracy theories. Well, just think about this, man. Maybe it possibly this and that. And all of them come together, and Sally come too, and all that, and they meet over here and all this, and look, you never know. Bro, you ain't got shit to back that shit up. And it came down to just look, bro. Is Trump fucking up in this shit, and you just talked about things you don't agree with? You ain't say he fucked up. He's fucking up with the economy. You talked about things you don't like that he did, as if that's answering the fucking question. And then you went on to a conspiracy theory. Y'all got man, look, I bet money some of y'all was following and tracking with him. Like, yeah, I done got caught up in this little story he telling. That motherfucker wasn't asking nothing about none of that. About none of that. He just came up with a conspiracy theory on the spot. I'm trying to tell you, he looked like he got a smooth brain, bro. He looked like he got a smooth brain, bro. He like he got a smooth brain.
Well, but he wasn't sending people to El Salvador prisons.
No, I know, but see, we're really arguing semantics when it comes to the treatment of people, because one thing that we'd have to like agree to disagree with, right, is I don't believe that people that are not citizens should have equal rights or equal treatment in this country whatsoever.
Well, that's not what our Constitution says. So are you anti-Constitution?
I mean, yeah, and I made that position quite clear. All of us did. So
let me ask you a question.
We don't agree with a lot of the Constitution.
All right, fair enough. Let me ask you this then. A woman who's been in this country for 20 years, she doesn't have the proper paperwork. She's undocumented. She pays taxes though, and she's never committed a violent crime in her life. Are you comfortable with ICE agents wrapping her up and taking her to an El Salvador prison where people are being treated inhumanely, being beaten, being starved? And as you know, that's one of the highest maximum security prisons in the world. Are you comfortable with that? I'm not talking about just deporting her to her home country. I'm talking about deporting her to some of these high maximum security prisons. Like, for example, Alligator Alcatraz. Over 60% of the people that are in there right now have never committed a violent crime in their life. I'd rather have the
is this a real person that this happened to? They like
yes.
Or is this a straw man? Because I can argue from both points though. I mean, here's the thing. At some point in time, when you have to be crass and direct and seemingly forceful, let's say. And I say seemingly intentionally because I think if you look into the Obama administration,
I'm just going to play this real quick, real quick, y'all.
Brother, what's that?
He is literally in the process of defending what he's about. Look, bruh, when I tell y'all this shit is evil, bruh. This is evil. I'm not lying, bro. We ain't even made it halfway through this shit, bro. There's so much evil been going on. I've been having to stop it so much. Watch this shit, y'all. This is, oh my God, bro. He about to defend this shit.
And you can argue that there were some horrible things happening during deportations, but it wasn't being televised. The media wasn't on it. It wasn't being sensationalized, and it wasn't.
Did they have Dr. Phil there with a microphone, turning it? Were they gleeing about it? Were they laughing about it? Were they bragging about it? They literally.
I'm not a fan of Dr. Phil either.
Okay, but I'm telling you, the reason why I bring it up, Richie, it's an important point because Tom Homan and the Trump administration are gleeful. Alligator Alcatraz on the White House Twitter site, sure. They're bragging about it with alligators and alligator hats. There's nothing funny about this, and I believe this is a fundamental difference we have, I'm sure. But I'm not
Maybe.
worried about non-violent criminals that are in this country that are undocumented that
Oh,
want
yeah, we
to
definitely
protect
disagree
themselves
with
and
that.
their family.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a horrible thing to say, and I don't relish in saying it, because to be candid with you, when you present a situation like that and you say, are you comfortable with it? Of course I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with any person getting abused or bullied or whatever the case is, right? But what I am comfortable with is the message that it sends. I am comfortable that it sends a message to any and all non-citizens and or people considering to live and move in this country illegally that, hey, I could be good, I could pay my taxes, I could, do everything right, but because I'm undocumented, I'm going to face severe consequences. And you're right, we'd have to agree to disagree, because I don't necessarily see a problem with that tactic any longer.
This is just my opinion. I find more of a threat, and per capita, you have the better chance of being the victim of a crime from a U.S. citizen than you do somebody who is undocumented. But I find more of a threat a white supremacist who went into the
I was
Capitol.
just about to say, what race of American citizen, if we're going to go into that statistic,
Well,
I
I'm
don't want to. But...
if you don't want to go to race, I'll just
No,
speak
but we
in general.
can, because I want to argue in favor of Americans, but when you're going to use statistics like you can be assaulted by an American more likely
I'm
than an
more
undocumented
concerned.
immigrant, then we do need to take the question of race.
In general, I'm more concerned about somebody who physically
He's trying to turn on black people.
assaulted a police officer on January 6th, or somebody who sends a pipe bomb to CNN, than an undocumented immigrant who's been here for 10 or 20 years with a family who's never committed a violent crime in their life. I'd rather have them be here.
Why can't they be equally a problem in your purview, though? Why is one worse than the other?
Because one's committing violence and the other one's not.
Because,
Why is one worse than the other? Because they didn't commit any
arguably,
violent crimes. That's why.
I know, but does the culture matter to you? Does the shift in culture or
You mean
the
the culture?
Well,
What do you mean by that?
But if you talking about the culture, if one person is not doing nothing, being a good citizen, and the other motherfucker is doing violent things, you disregard that and say, well, what about the culture? Where the culture has this motherfucker doing violent things, dummy. It has this motherfucker doing the right thing. If you want to talk about cultures. But no, you want to rope a group of people in together. Go ahead, but then get mad when they do it to them. All right, okay. Let's see where you're going.
That answers my question right there. I mean, earlier you said that you were white, or you identify as white.
Yeah.
Are you Jewish? Because your last name's Shapiro, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being Jewish or secular Jew or anything. But
I don't know what bearing that has in people who.
I'm going to get there. I was going to mention because as a secular Jew, you may have difficulty understanding maybe a cultural argument or a cultural position against like a white nativist population, because it may not be as important to you when you consider maybe the foundations and what.
I don't care what the color of one's skin is. We just think differently. I don't care what the color of your skin is.
I don't care about the skin color either. I care about assimilation, and I care about tribalism, and that's what I really care about more than anything. And I argue till I'm blue in the face, quite frankly.
He would be the one to go out there
when you don't have forced assimilation in the country, like every other sustained good country that's actually applying, let's say, cultural socialism, like Japan, for example, where they would not tolerate any of this. Then you have tribal warfare. And the reason why I bring up whether or not you're a secular Jew or not is because, in all honesty, I have secular Jew friends, and they have no problem admitting to me that even within their own circles, their families, their business partners, or their ability to grow within their community, they operate as one. They work with each other. They have each other's backs. They give each other.
I don't do that. I don't care.
But I'm just arguing that it's hard for you to understand a tribal position because you might be a part of the tribe.
I think there are some people that want this country to look white. There are some people that don't want migrants here, that don't want brown people in this country. I was raised in
brown.
Well, listen, Donald Trump is treating people differently because of the color of their skin. He allows 20 people from South Africa that are 100% white in here with open arms, but yet anybody who's brown, let's send them to, alligator Alcatraz. I do think color of skin has a lot to do with Donald Trump's policy on this issue. And by the way, I don't associate with people because of their religion or because of their skin color, because I'm not a bigot. I don't do that. And it has nothing to do with.
Wait, but are you calling, like Chinese Americans who have effectively taken over areas in LA, like Alhambra, South Pasadena? You have multiple investigations in those areas where people are seeing that you have Chinese landlords that only rent to Chinese. They're discriminating against all other races of Americans. Are you calling those people bigots?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Then you have a fair argument. And
when you stand on something, you don't fall for a lot of shit, bro. Like, yeah, he's against all of that. It doesn't matter who the see, that's his problem. He thinks that it's just an attack against white people. If anybody does this shit, it's a problem. And I think a lot of white folks don't get that. Like, bro, it's just wrong, period. You just happen to do it the most. Just happen to do it the most, buddy. So you catching the most of the energy. But we have a problem against it if anybody does this. If anybody does it, y'all. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It don't matter what the fuck you look like when you do it. You wrong.
I don't
No,
discriminate.
I mean, we agree. That's something we agree on. I actually agree with that, but
crazy,
that
bro.
levies
Like,
my argument, not yours,
right now.
because you're arguing for from my position, almost like a fictional America that no longer exists, because you want equality for all. You want everybody to be treated equally.
Sure.
The reality is that
Why is that?
And that's what the fuck you came in crying about, talking about you not treated equally. But you talking about he crying for the equal. What? My mind's fucking running right now, y'all. My mind is running because literally he came in talking about it's not equal for white people in America, which was crazy on his face right on the get-go. Now he's trying to say to him in a negative way that, well, you're just trying to argue for equality. You was arguing that it wasn't equal for you. And you say he's arguing for equality. Shouldn't you? You're not arguing for equality. You're not arguing for equality. So my boy Op said, I disagree when they tell us we need to clean up our communities. I disagree with their ass too.
I know
We ain't fuck it up.
know about those investigations into Alhambra landlords because I intentionally looked into them. If there was a white landlord that, publicly or whatever said, I only rent to white people, it'd be all over the news. Let's be honest.
Well,
Let's be
because you'd be a
fair.
jerk.
Donald Trump. How about the guy you voted for? Donald Trump did that shit.
You would deserve it. That's
Got sued for it too, and had to pay out money.
racist.
But fair enough. But the argument is
An idiot.
it's not played on the same equal playing field.
Give me an example. Is that
I just
happening?
gave you an example.
So okay, so you're telling me there are people of Asian descent that are
It's not just
telling
Asians, it's Vietnamese, it's Mexicans.
Okay. they're saying-
Here in Orange County, we have
and
Santa
they're
Ana.
saying
That's Asian, dumbass.
Where
that white people can't live in their complexes.
in there, they can't operate through the lens of tribalism without persecution. Of course not.
Guess who literally did what you are talking about?
You're talking about Arval in Arkansas?
Guess who was? Well, they are doing that in Arkansas. I was going to bring that up as well. The guy who you once voted for was sued thousands of times and had to pay up a lot of money in
You
discrimination.
keep trying to bring me back to defend Trump, and I don't mean to be rude or anything, but you're going to be hard pressed to get me to defend Trump.
You voted for him.
I voted for him. First of all, I voted for him in 2016. And here's the thing: I don't necessarily disagree with Trump on some things. I don't think he's doing things right as of right now.
Like I said, I'm not going to defend him, but now I'm going right into defending him.
I'm actually quite disappointed, especially like I said with the Israel thing, and I'd love to get your opinion on that as well.
The reason why I brought him up is because you voted for the guy that you're literally complaining about the group of people who did the same thing in California. Donald Trump did the exact same thing in Manhattan, and you voted for him.
So he, first of all, he did it in the 70s. Number one, okay.
Who cares when he did it? He could have done it.
What the fuck? That motherfucker say he did it in the 70s. Like that absolves him. Hold on, let him say that again. That's crazy.
You
I voted
voted
for. First of all, I voted for him in 2016. And here's the thing: I don't necessarily disagree with Trump on some things. I don't think he's doing things right as of right now. I'm actually quite disappointed, especially like I said with the Israel thing, and I'd love to get your opinion on that as well.
The reason why I brought him up is because you voted for the guy that you're literally complaining about the group of people who did the same thing in California. Donald Trump did the exact same thing in Manhattan, and you voted for him.
So he, first of all, he did it in the 70s. Number one, okay.
Who cares when he did it? He could have done it 100 years ago. It's still just as wrong. I don't care whether
Number two, he was. If I'm not mistaken, he was fined for it, right? He was
thousands
fined.
of discrimination lawsuits he had to pay out. Thousands.
Sure, but he was fined for it. You literally right here in Orange County, for example, in Irvine.
So as long as you fine for it, I don't look, you can do it. Just as long as you get in trouble for it. Then what the fuck is this dude arguing, bro? He just disregarded that shit. That's what he just did, yo. That's crazy.
You have effectively like an Indian takeover. I argue, come to Irvine, right, and drive in any direction. You'll be hard pressed to find someone who's not Indian or Chinese, specifically Indian. And if your argument is that's organic and there's no intention or direction behind that, you're wrong. And I think you know you're wrong because there is a direction behind it. There is an intention. There is a tribalism developed within other cultures and races, and white people are not allowed to exemplify.
Dude, you'll be dead and fucking gone before it becomes an issue for you, if it really would become an issue. Right now, you're just suspicious of everybody around you. And you're suspicious because you know internally you know the evil that your people done did to everybody else. So when you start seeing a big gathering of another group of people, you'll get worried. All it is just your conscience speaking. But you'll be dead and gone before it even becomes a problem for you. Like, shut the fuck up, pussy. Like, this dude's a certified pussy. He's scary as fuck. He's scary as fuck. He don't want to call out his own folks, but he'll sit here and yell from the mountaintops that he feels threatened in ways that people are not even threatening him. They're just moving into the neighborhood. I feel threatened that they moved in, but they shouldn't feel threatened that I say they need to get the fucking deported. It's like, what? Okay, bro.
Those traits are they're not allowed to defend themselves in the same way. It's
Okay,
simple.
well, listen, if there's an example in the United States of America where there, and I don't care what race,
Arvo is a great example. We can go into the conversation in Arkansas.
if there's any race that is doing that, it's wrong. What Arkansas is doing is wrong. What Augusta National Golf Club, not allowing black people to play golf there for decades, was wrong.
Do you know about Freedom, Georgia? Do you know about Freedom, Georgia?
No, I don't.
Freedom, Georgia was a project started in 2020 by two black women who were far left. They were self-described Marxists, but they wanted to create a segregated community for blacks only. And it was publicly funded. It was applauded. I think I wrote about it on Twitter, actually. I think MSNBC or one of them said it was finally a racial safe haven away from whites. And that's a mainstream media network saying something like that. They got $1 million in funding, right? And the most they ever produced was putting up tents on a, like, I think it was like a 100-acre lot or something. The only thing they ever did was put up tents. You have Arval, he's only been able to raise about $80K for his project, right? He's been able to construct a public schoolhouse and some other properties on his land. Look how the media is persecuting him, number one. Look how...
I want you to understand the dynamic, because we covered that all-white community. So it was wrong and bad when the black people tried to do it, and all they put up was tents. You know, he threw that in at the end. It was wrong when the black people did it, and all they did was put up tents. But now you're about to defend somebody who is doing the exact same thing afterwards, like after the fact, not before the fact, after the fact of what you just said was wrong, and you're about to praise it. Watch them.
I think the Attorney General of Arkansas has already went after them. They intend to reopen the case, even though they found that he wasn't breaking any laws. Why is it that they're making such a hardline case against someone like that, doing effectively what they did in Freedom, Georgia?
Well, I'll say something that you will
5 years
disagree
ago.
with, and
Maybe because they had a problem with the black folks doing it before. You had a problem with the black people supposedly doing it before. And now that a white person's trying to do it, they stopped the black people from doing it. Now the white person's trying to do it, and you like, why y'all got a problem with it? Bitch, do you? What the fuck is wrong with? What is wrong? Man, bro, what? Man, hold up. Because I know I'm not losing my motherfucking mind.
Yeah, this shit crazy, bro. This shit wild. You saw that shit, man?
You argue against the black people doing it, but you're okay with the white people doing it. Black people shouldn't be doing this, but why are they coming for the white people for doing it? That's what he just said.
I think this is very important for context. There are groups of people in the world that have been oppressed. When you look at Indian reservations in the United States of America, there's a reason why we have those and those tribes and the casinos and all that, because of history. Now, last I checked, white people in the United States of America were not owned. We weren't owned by, this wasn't slavery where white people were owned. Now, that's not your fault, and that's not my fault.
You got to be really careful even with that statement. Again, we go right back to the conversation before about race. You can argue the contention that Irish Americans were indentured servants here, but you see what I'm saying? Like, we can get into the weeds. At the end of the day, you're serving to continuously prove my point that we've arrived at a place of trust.
I'm sorry, y'all. The Irish, other white people, just I just got to make sure I say that out loud, because man, hell, them white people from Ireland that came over here were not slaves. They were not fucking slaves. No matter how much you want to try to put that on and scapegoat yourself out of this fucking contradiction, this situation that you're in, by saying, well, the Irish were slaves. The Irish were not slaves. They were indentured servants. Some of them. And guess what you did after Hill? Hey, I gotta hit them folks that like to say this dumb shit. Okay, if the Irish were slaves, let's say the Irish were slaves, y'all. All right. So after they got done with their slavery, why you give them jobs? Why they become the firemen and the police officers in northern cities like New York, Jersey, and all that shit? But You know, when the blacks got free, he was like, yeah, y'all just go on about y'all business. What's the difference between the two, buddy? If you want to go with that narrative. Motherfuckers don't know goddamn history, bruh. They don't, look, either they know it or they just want to disregard it. One of the two. They know it or they want to disregard it. Because, bruh, that is some bullshit. Irish and goddamn slaves. Bitch, please. You don't get the fuck out of here with that dumbass shit. Bitch, y'all white folks were doing y'all own white folks wrong. Because they were from Ireland, you was from somewhere else. But y'all still white. That's white on white violence. That's white on white violence, y'all. Talking about black on black crime. What about that white on white crime, bruh? Whole country built off of white on white crime. Ain't the first war y'all fought over here? No, my bad. No, the second war. It was the second war y'all fought over here. That was white on white violence. Because the first one was white on brown. Y'all had to fuck them Native Americans up. Yeah, y'all did that first. Then after that, y'all fought your own people. Yeah, forgot about that. Then y'all fought your own people again. Y'all fought your own people again and again. They talk about us. Like, I'm trying to think about it. Like think about the inception of America, y'all. You got the Native American war against the colonists and shit. Then the colonists fought Britain. That's white on white violence. Then after they became a state, then fucking you had a civil war. So that was more white people fighting white people. And then you had World War I, which was white people fighting white people. And then you had World War II. So more white people fighting white. You got the Russia-Ukraine shit. More white people fighting white people. And his body's piling up. Now you got the white folks in Israel fighting them folks in Palestine. Another white aggressor. I'm like, bruh. And y'all talk about other people in crime. And when it came to World War II, y'all the only one. Man, look, man, y'all dropped an atomic bomb on a group of people and y'all talking about crime, bro. I wouldn't be talking about crime, bro. I would not be talking about if I was in that position, bro, I wouldn't be fucking talking, bro. I wouldn't be talking at all. Hell no, I wouldn't be talking, bro. You gotta have no fucks. You gotta give no fucks about nothing to try to argue, and you got that on your track record.
Tribal warfare, wherein based off of your position, whites were not persecuted and they don't deserve special treatment. They don't deserve this because they weren't persecuted and this other group was. So they were allowed to do this and they're allowed to be applauded.
I think you can find anecdotal evidence maybe of hate crimes against white people, but compared to African Americans, I don't know how you can make the case that white people in the history of this country have been treated worse than black people. I don't know how you can make that argument.
I'm not making that argument. I'm not making that argument at all, actually. I'm making the argument that when you look at majority privilege in any other nation in the world, there is no other nation in this entire world that's held to the same standard as the U.S. to intentionally prop up in the name of equity to serve every other race but the founding stock of the country. No other nation.
You're not the fucking founding stock, bitch. Stupid. And then on top of that, that's what comes with being a superpower. Being the global leader in everything. So you want to have the power and all. Look, I'm trying to tell you, they argue like them bitches. They want to have all the money, all the fucking power that comes with being with a special guy, but they don't want to do what the fuck it takes to be with him. I just want this and I just want to be here. I don't want to have to be held to any standard. That's how they argue. They argue like a bunch of bitches. Like a bunch of bitches.
In world history has ever done this. And we're this failed experiment that we're seeing hell-bent on pursuing until the end of what? I mean, you have Joe Biden saying, by this year, whites will be the minority, and this is a good thing. You see on Jimmy Fallon where he mentioned white birth rates are on an all-time
decline. Does that scare you? If whites are the minority?
100% it scares me. Absolutely it scares me. Because you know what? I don't like bullies. And I don't like it. But
everybody that has a different color of skin than you is a bully?
No, what I'm saying is when you have an intentional directive to intentionally persecute and annihilate an entire race of people, and I do believe that.
How are they annihilating a group? I don't understand that. What do you mean?
I'm talking about genocide. I'm talking about an intentional directive.
You think You think there's white genocide in America?
I think it's in America. I think it's in Europe. I think it's all over the world.
Who's committing white genocide?
Well, you and I are going to go really deep in the woods there. I mean,
breaking news. There's genocide against white people.
The fastest way to find your resolve that you're looking for is to simply look at the percentages of whites, not only in Europe and America.
Let's just talk about America.
But arguing this position, right? How can you argue that there doesn't seem to be some intentional directive against whites when white birth rates are declining and every other race is increasing? Do you
Well, there
think
are.
that's a but to argue this point?
First of all, that wouldn't be.
It's just a coincidence.
First of all, that wouldn't be the definition of genocide. You specifically used genocide. If a woman decides not to have a baby, that's not genocide. Give me an example of white genocide in the United States of America.
Sure, media manipulation to target white people specifically to either
Media manipulation is, with all due respect, media manipulation is not genocide. I don't know where you align the two.
How are you defining genocide? Genocide is
Not the way you are.
No, I'm saying by the definition, an intentional directive to erase.
So you think Fox? So you don't like misinformation when it comes to the media, Richie? Is that a fair characterization? I don't want to misinterpret. You don't like?
I don't like misinformation from
Gotcha.
anybody.
So when Fox News was sued for $900 million, claiming that the Dominion voting
I'm not a
machine.
fan of Fox News. I'll tell you.
Okay, I can understand and I appreciate that, but you would agree that I think there's far more of that going on the right than the left right now when it comes to the 2020 election, when it comes to manipulating numbers, Donald Trump and the Epstein files. I mean, there's so much to discuss. I'm not saying the left is perfect either. I don't watch a lot of MSNBC. I'll be honest with you. I watch Fox News and CNN, and then I make my own conclusions. But I don't believe, Richie.
Everyone's emotionally driven. Everyone's pinned against each other by this right-left spectrum that's given this perspective.
Well, I agree with that. Sure.
It's all theater at the end of the day, right? I think there's much larger plans, and I don't want to die on the hill of white genocide, but I do believe that things go a lot deeper than maybe even you realize or people realize. It's a dark place to figure this stuff out and to kind of go down these rabbit holes.
Would you rather be a white person or a black person living in America right now?
I'd rather be a white person in any history of time. Anywhere.
Even though there's white genocide,
I would be betraying. But see, and that's the argument I try to make at the debate as well. Is like
he got your ass with that one. You answered that one so stupidly fast. You talking about how bad it is to be a white person, but hang on. The sad part, I actually got to kick myself on that because I'll talk about all the bad things that happen towards black people, but I know I'm a chosen child of God, so I'm happy to be black, even if I got to deal with the bullshit that I deal with every fucking day. He don't have that same situation. He don't have that same situation. He don't move. I was about to say something. I ain't even gonna say it, y'all.
You have to take some pride to some degree in your lineage, right? For me personally, when I think about being a white American, I don't think about myself and my own experiences. I think about the fact that when I've done my research and looked into my ancestry and seen effectively what my lineage has gone through to get to where they are, to get to where I am, right? And the suffering. I mean, I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't have generational wealth. We were never in a higher upper class or generation after generation, whatever. Of course, I take pride in the fact that it was intentional and it was made for me, right? This country was fought and died for me. It wasn't fought and died for other people.
Well, there's plenty of people that are not white that have served this country that have paid the ultimate price and lost their life.
I would say blacks, yeah, but not. I wouldn't argue. I would say blacks, sure. What
do you mean? There's all sorts of people in the military: Hispanics, Asians, all sorts of different races.
Very recently. But if we're gonna lobby back to like the 1600s, I think you'd be hard pressed to find Mexicans or Chinese or anybody that really played an enormous role.
Right now, there are people that don't look like me and don't look like you. Black people every color in the crayon book that are willing to fight for this country, for our freedoms, to have our own opinions, to be able to do what we're doing on the air right now. Wouldn't you call them all heroes? All different races, not just white.
No, I wouldn't actually, because I think that, well, I mean, because you're arguing about the position right now.
Lord,
I have friends and stuff that go into the military, and I try to dissuade them from doing so.
But wait, hold on, Richie, I'm sorry. Hold on, I just want to backtrack because I'm shocked with what you just said.
Sure.
You wouldn't characterize a black person in this country who risks his life and fights a war for us, maybe even loses his life, losing limbs.
You keep saying for us, he's not fighting a war for us. I think any wars fought right now, if there is a war coming, and unfortunately I do believe it's coming, it's not being fought for us, it's being fought for somebody else. And that's why he's not a hero. He's a patsy. He's manipulated. He's been convinced of something that isn't actually true.
So you would characterize white people as that as well, then?
100%. If you join the military-industrial complex, you join.
That's not really what you just said. I just said, would you consider a minority the same as you would a white person who's serving the country? And you said no.
No, the original question is whether or not I would choose to be white v black.
That was one of the questions, country. Right? That was.
I didn't hear you ask if I think that they're equally. Okay. I try my best to dissuade all young American men, regardless of race, to join the military or be a part of the military currently.
If you're a police officer or if you're a police, I just want to know what you think a hero is, because Donald Trump called, hostages and patriots people who committed horrible crimes on January 6th. Would you say a firefighter is a hero? Whether you're black, white, orange, purple, you're a hero if you're willing to go into a fire and save a life. Would that be?
It's just a very reductive argument. I think a hero, and I don't mean this to I'm not saying this necessarily as, I mean, you can take it as a compliment if you want, but I would argue like a hero is more someone like yourself in today's day and age, right? Someone who is willing to get on a podium and verbally attack the systems that be to help enliven or awaken the masses to what's actually happening, to sort of provoke an outside perspective to help restructure what's been broken.
This motherfucker talk like a bitch. Word fucking salad, man. He asked you a very specific question. Would you categorize a firefighter that would run into a burning building a hero? And this motherfucker talking, no, I would say somebody more like you, somebody that blah, blah, blah. All this bullshit, bitch. Yes or no?
Right. I would say those people are heroic. I mean, if you want to do like a reductionist argument to say, I would even argue that police are heroic. Like you can, of course, I think that when people make nuanced arguments, the biggest issue we face today is everyone deals in these absolutes, right? Like I can argue in favor of police brutality. I can argue against it. I can argue in favor of attacking police and self-defense. I can argue against it. I'm speaking in nuances, but it doesn't mean that I'm outside the realization that like police, what it takes to be a cop is beyond.
Look, what he's saying is I don't stand for nothing, but I'll fall for everything, and I will argue a lot of the points that I claim I don't stand for. That's what the fuck he's saying. He don't stand for nothing. He will fall for anything, but he will argue the points that he supposedly stands on. It's somebody that can't be trusted. I can't trust you in society. I can't. Because it's all about, well, whatever the fuck at the moment. Arguing like a bitch. Look at this shit. Look, I'm saying straw man arguments from the far right. Shaking my damn head. You right. He don't make no damn sense about what he talking about, man. And I know there's a lot of folks that's not tracking what the fuck this dude doing, bro. Like for real, track this shit, bro. This dude talking out both sides of his neck. He not saying nothing. He making a position on certain things, then getting caught up with it, and then saying, well, maybe this, then maybe that, and then getting caught up even more on that fucking contradiction to doing the same thing again. Bro, he don't stand for nothing. Besides, he just look, he evil, bro. He evil. Oh, he got some really, really evil beliefs. How about that? For the people in the back that don't want me to call somebody evil, he just got some really evil beliefs. He got some really fucked up beliefs. And that's not just because he disagrees with me. I disagree with him. He got some evil beliefs. Right and wrong is right and wrong, bro. We all got a moral compass, and some of y'all compasses fuck up.
On heroic, and they face all sorts.
Not all police officers are heroes. I would never say that, but I would never be an advocate for police brutality any more than I would be an advocate for people who beat police officers on January 6th. I think most people would characterize both of those as wrong, against the law, and people need to be punished and held to account.
I think most people, I agree. I think most people would agree with that, and I think that most people are comfortable with where they are in life right now. They're comfortable being told what is right and what is wrong. They're comfortable with being told what the mainstream news and what TV is persuading them to be told. They're comfortable with their, whatever job they have, their Netflix, their drive-through food, and their vaccinations, and all sorts of bullshit that I don't stand for. Yeah, people are comfortable with the law. It's time to get uncomfortable, is my argument.
And what's your definition of uncomfortable? Breaking the law?
Stop trusting the powers that be. Stop trusting.
I don't trust Donald Trump. I don't trust anybody in Donald Trump's administration. I think he's fired.
Do you trust the opposite side of the aisle there?
I have a lot of criticisms for the left as well, but I will say this.
I do want to know your opinion on Israel, because I think I brought that up a couple times, and I don't think we've really.
I just had Joe Walsh on before you. I've been very critical, especially recently with Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government. I am pro-Israel in the sense that I believe that they deserve to exist, but I think what's going on in Gaza is despicable and deplorable, and I don't trust the Israeli government. They're the ones who told us there were weapons of mass destruction with Saddam Hussein, and they're the ones that told us Iran is furthering their nuclear capabilities. I don't believe that to be true either. I don't defend Benjamin Netanyahu. I think he's a Trump lackey, for lack of a better term, and the guy who you voted for in 2016 is the guy who listens to Benjamin Netanyahu.
I agree. I don't disagree with you on any of that. That's
an innocent Israeli, an innocent Israeli child being murdered is just as bad as an innocent Palestinian child being murdered. It's horrible what's going on.
Now see how easily he agreed with that, because that's something that he actually does believe in. No pushback, no nuance, none of that. I 100% agree with everything you just said. It's amazing how he agrees, and then he wants to be nuanced with other situations. Ain't nobody notice that? He was very direct and told him that he agreed with that. But in other situations, he wants to have all this nuance come in. I want to muddy the waters and try to manipulate to get you to think another way. No, I agree with you. Bro, it's not good faith at all, bro. This is just manipulate. This is evil, bro. This is evil, bro. This is evil. This is just straight up evil.
On out there. But I'm very concerned. Donald Trump said the war would be over in 24 hours in Ukraine. How's that working out? He said 90 deals in 90 days. How's that working out? I think Joe Biden was a decent president. What are your biggest criticisms, before I let you go, my friend? What are your biggest criticisms right now of the left? And like a Kamala Harris, like what was your biggest criticism of why you couldn't vote for her?
It kind of goes back to my position on Trump. I don't believe these people are actually in power. They're not really in control. They push these, you know, I'm more of a populist to be fair, and I don't think Kamala Harris or Biden or the administration that represented them were populist positions. I mean, if you were to like maybe look at my politics on paper, I think you'd align me more with like a Bernie Sanders type, I guess, on the left.
Really? That surprises me a little bit. But
well, I know, but see,
you damn sure do not come off like a Bernie Sanders type. At all. Not at all, bro. You don't even coming nowhere near in the ballpark of a Bernie Sanders. But either way, though.
it shouldn't surprise you. And that's kind of my whole point, is that you got to stop dealing in these absolutes.
Bernie Sanders immediately would say, if you beat cops on January 6th, you're not a patriot and a hostage. Bernie Sanders.
Well, he also allowed himself to be humiliated by protesters in Black Lives Matter who jumped on stage and ripped the microphone from him. So he's not really.
Bernie Sanders condemned all any
not to mention, he also drives around an Audi R8 while he preaches
yeah, but I wouldn't characterize somebody grabbing a microphone from somebody as the same trying to overthrow the government and beating police officers.
Come on, let's be honest. We both said this earlier. It wasn't an attempt to overthrow the government. And let me tell you this right now.
Really? Why were they there? Why were they there then?
Yeah, they both didn't say that. You the only one that said that he did not agree to earlier.
There to protest, of course.
Protest what? Protest what?
What they believed was a rigged election.
Right. So they were there, stormed the Capitol, trying to stop. What were they trying to stop?
That would argue the position that they had a plan. That would argue the position that they had some
sort
of thing aligned.
What were they trying to do that?
I think they were throwing a tantrum. That's what I think it was.
What were they trying to do that day? I'll give you a hint.
I don't think electorates. I don't think.
Oh yeah, man, it was just a tantrum. You know, them busting windows and beating up cops and shit. It was just a tantrum. Y'all see? Bruh, look. No motherfucker boring with this goddamn gift, bruh. But to just minimalize and manipulate the fuck out of a situation, it seemed like it come out of his mouth so easily. He been doing it all night, man. It just seems like it comes out so easy. And this is just like, bro, this is pure fucking evil, bro. If anybody else did that shit that you claiming is nothing, because that's the way you just try to describe it as nothing, it was just a tantrum, bro, you would lose your fucking mind if any other group of people did that. But it was just a tantrum because, nigga, please, there's some evil ass shit right here, bro.
They even know. I think they were trying.
They were trying to stop, and they almost did. They were trying to stop the certification of votes, where it was delayed. That's what they were trying to do, and that's what I mean by trying to overthrow a free and fair election. That's why they were there.
I'll give you this. Okay, if there was anybody in J6 that actually believed that they as individuals had some sort of ability to overthrow the government, stop the election, or prevent it from being counted, then you're right. Those people are idiots.
They were chanting.
I don't believe that's actually the case.
They were chanting, hang Mike Pence. They were chanting about hanging the vice president.
Yeah, well, there's some arguments about that as well, about Antifa being inserted into the crowd.
That's not true. Oh my God! I'd love to know what sources those are, because I can tell you right now, there's no legitimate sources that Antifa.
There's video of known Antifa residents like actually changing clothes into MAGA wear under a tree. There's a video of that.
Well, I mean, if there's a video of someone changing clothes under a tree, it doesn't change my position at all.
No, I know, but I'm saying it was clearly Antifa, and they're known Antifa.
Why do you defend Ashley Babbitt?
You know what? It's not about defending her. I think that she was murdered in cold blood. I think.
Okay, well, the investigation proved otherwise.
I know the investigation proved otherwise, but that also proves my position earlier stated when I said to give a blanket authority to all jurisdiction and all that apply the law as they see it against those. So
you're, let's just say you're at a police car, I don't know, or some sort of secure checkpoint.
Well, I would caution you where you're going right now, because the same argument is being levied from the right against persecution of innocent blacks that get gunned down as well, because they happen to be, let's say, near a battle zone or near an area where there's obviously chaos. I'd have to
look at a specific.
So I'm just saying.
A gunned down black near a battle zone. What battle zones we got in America? The fuck is he talking about?
Like, you can go in both directions. But if you look at the video, if you watch the video, that was a trained, the guy had like 20 plus years of service in the law. And then I believe he was ex-military as well. to argue the position that he didn't understand the threat, as it were, right? If you watch the video, I believe she was shot in the head, which makes me, in the neck, whatever. She stands up, I believe, on somebody's shoulder, or she hoists herself up off of somebody.
After a gun was pointed at her and somebody said there's a gun, it didn't deter her from doing what she was doing, which was 10 feet away from politicians.
I'm not saying what she did was not intelligent, but it doesn't justify murder. It doesn't justify.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. If they broke through that window, they were.
But will sit there and defend a black man running away from the cops and getting shot in the back. Justify that. This bitch is coming at somebody, breaking into the Capitol, while senators are trying to secure the election, trying to give their final votes on, yeah, my state voted for this, my state voted for that. Her busting through the fucking window and coming at the guy is terrible. But a black guy getting stopped for whatever the fuck and running away from the cop and getting shot in the back is perfectly fine. She got shot coming at somebody. Somebody getting shot running away is wrong. Well, now somebody running away, getting shot in the back is bad. I mean, that's right. You can do that. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. But somebody coming at you is wrong. Running away, bad. Coming at me, right. That don't even make no goddamn sense. She was breaking into the fucking Capitol, bro. She was trying to squeeze through a little ass window. Got her ass popped. Got her ass popped. She was about to be on the floor of the assembly where all the goddamn senators were. All the Congress members and shit. While they certifying this election, she breaking into but a motherfucker run away from a goddamn traffic stop, shoot him in the back. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Nigga, what kind of fucking dumb shit? Like, I'm trying to tell you, bro, evil. Evil. I should have put that in the title. This is going to be a lot of evil. I didn't watch the shit, but it's a lot of evil.
10 feet away from those politicians. If they broke through that window, what do you think those...
What would have happened if all police and all military personnel were ordered to evacuate the building?
What does that have to do with my question? I'm confused. They had to get politicians out of the building.
What I'm arguing is, okay, fair. So do you think that the politicians would have been attacked?
100%. There would have been absolutely. There were people. There were at least a dozen people with weapons. I hear the argument from the right that nobody had weapons. That's also not true. There were people that were chanting "Hang Mike Pence."
We can just fundamentally agree to disagree, because I do not believe.
So they would have just shook their hand. Do you think they would have just shook Nancy Pelosi?
No, but I don't believe they would have strung them up on ropes like the left is trying to portray it was going to.
What would they have done then? What would they have done? Just had a conversation.
It's not. How many incidences can you point to in the last 100 years where the right, specifically the right, the conservative right, not the far
times
right,
have we had? I know you don't.
Have they strung up politicians? Have they killed, assaulted, or maimed politicians? How many times? Because I can obviously point recently to
have we ever had
executions on our own president.
When was there a time? I know you don't like to refer it as an insurrection. I don't really care the way people define it, but has anything like that ever happened in our life?
Y'all heard that little slick ass shit? Look, y'all know that dude that tried to snipe Trump was a Republican, a registered Republican. Like, he only voted one time in his life. The little young kid only voted one time in his life. And guess who he voted for? Donald fucking Trump. And they keep trying to say, well, yeah, he was a leftist. Not according to his voting record. Not according to his voting record. But he tried to slide that in there at the last second. Dude, that was a Republican. Stupid.
Lifetime.
In our lifetime, no.
No, exactly. So you're making my point for me. This was an extenuating circumstance. You had a mob of people, and I know we disagree on this. I don't feel bad for Ashley Babbitt. She did it to herself. That's number one. Number two.
I mean, see, that's a horrible thing to say, though.
I think it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing what she did.
What you're doing is very dangerous, because you're taking a principled approach by saying, I don't care that somebody got killed. But
I do care.
If you're going to take that opinion and approach,
I do care.
You have to comprehend. You have to understand, when you see the right retaliate in the fashion that it's moving in, you cannot be shocked when people, you say you're an independent, but when you say, I think she got what she deserved, well, then you cannot be shocked when you have people on the right that argue the same contention. We will never reach this equality.
Which case? I don't care what their political background is. If somebody is doing what Ashley Babbitt was doing and dumb enough to do what she was doing,
I mean, we can point to the Rittenhouse. We can point to the Rittenhouse case.
Okay, what about Kyle Rittenhouse? He wasn't convicted of a crime, was he?
No, but do you believe the people that were shot by Rittenhouse deserved what they got?
I would say the first guy who got into it with Kyle Rittenhouse was a very ignorant person, and he probably got what he deserved. Here's the problem with you. Here's the problem with you.
I mean, at least you're consistent.
Here's the problem.
You're pretty callous all around.
Here's the problem with the other two people that were shot.
Well,
I believe.
Pulled a gun. On
okay, let me hear me out on this.
Okay.
When you're in a very serious situation, in that case, that was a very dangerous situation, and you see a 17-year-old in camouflage with a gun, and you hear gun popping going off, I believe the other two, not the first guy, but the next two believed it was an active shooter situation. That's what I believe. Now, would I have advised them to have done what they have done? No, probably not. I would have told them to get the hell out of the area. But
Sure.
Kyle Rittenhouse should have never been there. And we also know, and by the way, Kyle Rittenhouse is an idiot. We know a week before, well, I'll give you the reason why I say that.
Yeah.
A week before, he's caught on video watching people shoplift out of a pharmacy saying he was dreaming about killing them and shooting them. That's not what a normal 17-year-old, there's video of it. You could just go on YouTube. He admitted that he should have never been there. A 17-year-old should not, with an AR-15, showing up to a violent.
I don't disagree that he.
Doing
I
what
don't
he did.
disagree with your position that he shouldn't be there, but I mean, here's the thing, Brian. At least you're fair and consistent when you take your opinion on whether or not someone deserves to be shot and killed. And,
on that point.
But again, I think
Don't break the law.
it's very
Don't break the law.
it's very disheartening.
So, Richie, here's where
because
I'll.
when
Richie,
you
can I
lean
just say
into
this
the
real quick?
conversation of violence. Sure.
Richie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me preface this. It's very sad what happened to Ashley Babbitt. Here's why I say that. She served the country, which I will always respect anybody who serves, and she was brainwashed. You talk about the media. She is one of those people that was brainwashed just based on her YouTube video. She said a lot of crazy stuff. By the way, not against the law to do that. If she wanted to be on a public sidewalk and scream nonsense, she had the right to do that, but she wasn't doing that. She was in a place where she shouldn't have been. She was warned that there was a gun pointed at her to stand back by law enforcement. She didn't do it, and that was investigated. Now, if you don't agree with the
Do you
investigation,
believe the White House belongs to the politicians that occupy it, or do you believe it belongs to the American citizenry?
well, the law as it stands is they were not allowed to be in those specific areas, and they were told to stand back, and they did not do it. So you can't just waltz
Do
into
you
the House
argue from a
chamber anytime
position-
you want.
Earlier, you brought up the Constitution and asked me
Sure.
if I believed in the, and I obviously said I
Sure.
disagree with a lot of the Constitution. Would you argue that you yourself are a constitutionalist, or would you say that you don't?
The Constitution doesn't give you the right to just bust into the White House and sit in that bitch and drink fucking beer all day. There's security in this bitch for a reason, dummy. Motherfuckers just act like, well, they can just go in. Okay, then you walk into the fucking White House right now and go sit in Trump's goddamn desk and see how far you get. See how far you get, and then I want you to complain that you got the right. The Constitution gives you right. Look, this dude a dummy.
Agree with some of
The reason why I might not always agree with everything, but the reason why I bring up the
Dude,
Constitution is because a lot of people on the far right, I know you're not necessarily a Trump supporter now, but a lot of the Trump supporters like to always bring up the Constitution when Donald Trump.
are not far right either. They're, I'd like to usurp that definition and role because they're definitely not far right.
Okay, well, Richie, that
By any
may
measure.
or may not be true, but for argument's sake, the reason why I bring up the Constitution because Donald Trump is breaking our Constitution every day. He's above the law. He was given immunity. He's not giving people due process, and I have a serious problem with that. And by the way, I also don't think a 34-count felon should be, any felon should be the president of the United States. If you're a felon, you're not allowed to vote. You're not allowed to buy a gun. You certainly shouldn't be allowed to be the president of the United States.
Here's the thing.
That is
All
fact.
the more power to you to take a principled stance and stand behind your.
Hey, look, I'll be honest with you, man. I ain't gonna be honest with you. I'm be honest.
You're goddamn right.
Like, really think about that, man. This motherfucker, a 34-count felon. Felons can't own a gun. Felons can't vote. But a felon can be the president of the United States of America? I guess it's only when you right.
Conviction and words, but at the end of the day, you said you're independent. I think maybe you're a little more left leaning than you give
On social issues, sure. I
which
did not.
is fine, but
I did not vote.
Like, he sound like an older, calm down red. An older, calm down red. Still stupid, but just older and calm down.
I
Barack Obama.
want to implore you and your listeners and anybody else who kind of wants to take a tribal or position against any and all other Americans who they believe don't agree with them. Consider your own tribalism. Consider what you would do in those positions. Consider what you would do. You said that Ashley Babbitt was brainwashed.
Crazy.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Here's the thing: if you believe that you yourself are immune to brainwash, you yourself are brainwashed.
No,
You
I'm not.
Kid yourself into believing.
I would
that
never
you're
make a
immune.
case. I would never make.
But
a
my
case
point
that-
is that if
But I also
you can
wouldn't start-
acknowledge the fact that you're not immune to being brainwashed, then consider the humanity of all Americans. Consider the humanity and the purpose behind the reaction.
Consider the crazy, psychotic, evil ass shit that come out. Just consider our side too, though. No, you're wrong, buddy. Ain't no need to consider none of that bullshit you talking about, bro. You wrong. Even by your own standards, because you judge people on them standards that you don't want to be judged by right now. You're wrong. Ain't nobody giving no sympathy to no goddamn serial killer. The fuck?
Movement of all Americans.
Yeah,
I
but
implore
Rich,
you.
but Rich, even if you are brainwashed, that is not an excuse to do what Ashley Babbitt did that day. It's also not an excuse for the January 6ers to beat police officers. It's not an excuse to try
Obviously, I don't agree that she was brainwashed, and I'm not saying that I agree with that either. I mean, again, you have to lean into the situation as it were. To put this sort of blanket, absolute approach to looking at a situation without looking at the specific nuances, the energy, the chaos, the melee, we're just never going to agree on this. You know, I've personally been in these environments where, you know, when chaos is ensuing all around you, you're hearing screaming and kicking and people yelling slurs, you're getting hit by all directions. It disorients you. It changes your sort of your tone of self. It kind of turns you into something that
people were yelling slurs people were yelling slurs at the white supremacists, some of whom stormed the Capitol on January 6th, and that's a defense to beat a cop. Like I don't understand.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in culmination of all things that can be identified as chaos. When you're in that situation, I assure you, whatever promises you've made to yourself, meaning that you can tell yourself now, I would never do anything like that.
No, I wouldn't.
You just don't know.
No, I do. I do. I would never beat a police officer. I would never believe a guy like Donald Trump when he says the election was rigged.
I'm not saying necessarily a police officer, but you might beat an innocent person.
No, I've never been charged with a crime in my entire life. So the answer is no. I don't know if you have, but I haven't.
No, I haven't. But at the same time, I can understand human nature.
I can also understand
reactionary movement.
Well, that might be true.
And I understand it both on the left and the right, and that's what I try to portray. Is I understand reactionary movements on both sides of the aisle. Okay.
I don't think it's ever excusable as to be defined as a reactionary movement to storm the Capitol, beat cops. I don't think violence is ever defended by reactionary movement.
At what point is it justifiable?
If you feel like your life is in danger and it's self-defense, that's the only time it's ever okay.
So if they're you already admitted they're brainwashed, they already believe their life is in danger, right?
No,
they believe their life is in danger.
No, I don't believe that. No, I don't believe that.
So you don't believe that they believe their life's in danger? You haven't hung out with these people. I promise you, they genuinely believe that.
Then they're mentally ill, these people. But first of all, just because
you're just moving the marker.
Well, just because you believe your life is in danger doesn't mean legally.
Can't you see that you're taking a position of authority?
No. And look, there's people that are psychotic, have mental problems, and they might be walking around thinking that somebody's trying to delete them. Just because they think that doesn't change the fact that ain't nobody trying to delete them. And if they delete somebody just going about their merry way, they don't get off on that. Because they fear that, well, we're going to look at the situation. It's like, no, this person posed no threat to you or whatever the hell, and you just did that. So you deleted that person. That's what an investigation's called for. And that, like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? It don't matter what the fuck you think in your mind. Some people get off on that. That's where they send them to, like, mental asylums and shit, mental institutions and shit. But when it really comes down to it, like, bro, the average American, bro, you delete somebody and you try to say it's self-defense, they gonna look at the situation and be like, nah, that wasn't self-defense, that's murder. What the fuck is he talking about?
Over.
No, it has to be proven in a court of law. It has to be proven in a court of law that your life was in danger and that your behavior, or in this case, beating police officers, was legitimate because a police officer put your life in danger and it was proven in a court of law. Just because you believe something, that doesn't give you the right to break the law. Just because I have a belief that I don't like a
I have to continue to play devil's advocate. You know, we go back to referencing you being a secular Jew, and I'm sure you have roots in, you know, Eastern Europe or people who were persecuted during the early 1900s. I'm sure you have ancestors. You know, I wonder if those people were here today, if they would agree with your approach. If they,
I really don't care. I wouldn't care.
You should.
I don't care.
You should care.
No,
you should care,
I don't.
Because the perspective and the position of all peoples that feel persecuted, left out, and abandoned are valid to be heard.
Just because you feel a way doesn't give you the right to break the law and assault people. And if anybody disagrees with me on that, this is where just because their religion might be the same as mine, I'm not even a religious person. I don't care, Rich.
That's why I said you're secular.
I don't care what somebody's religion is, what the color of their skin is. Just because you believe something doesn't give you the right to storm the Capitol, whether you're right or wrong. And they were wrong, because Trump did not win in 2020. But even if they were right, that doesn't give you the right to physically assault people. It doesn't give you the right to do that and storm the Capitol. I don't know why. I don't know what the argument is there. It doesn't give you, just because you believe something doesn't give you the right to be violent and attack people. I don't care what religion you are.
By that position that you're taking is, I would argue, is bordering on a real pacifist approach to all things maybe unjust or
Maybe
unequal.
it's just respect of the law. Maybe you think. Maybe
Yeah,
I just
but
respect the
again,
law.
we go full circle to like, how do you define justifying specific laws, and why should you, as an individual, adhere to all laws that you don't agree with?
Well, just because you don't agree with the law, are you saying it's okay to break it then? So I can go 150
I'm
miles
not saying
an hour.
it's okay to break
You
it.
know
I'm
what?
saying I understand when somebody feels
Understand.
persecuted. Why?
All right, so let's just say
counteractive effort.
I believe in my belief system that you should be allowed to be drunk and drive. So are you going to defend me now when I go out on the road tonight, which I wouldn't, by the way, and drive drunk? That's really what you're saying.
You're creating a straw man argument. I think that there's a lot. There's no, well, technically by definition you are, but specifically, I think that you're.
No, he's using your own logic against you. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. But you're pretty much saying, yeah, it is a law and they're breaking the law. But if they feel like they should be able to break the law, they should be able to break the law. Okay, so let me get drunk and go drive and hit somebody tonight. You okay with it? Oh, that's a straw man argument. No, he just threw your own logic in your fucking face. Are you dumb? Like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, I think this dude got a smooth ass brain, bro. Look at his forehead. He look like he got a smooth ass brain. Big forehead for no reason.
Again, reducing an entire movement of people that in their spirit, in their soul, feel one way, feel left out, feel persecuted, feel abandoned in their country, in a country that they work, and in terms of Ashley Babbitt, a country that they serve for, that they bled for, they feel abandoned.
In their country, they the only ones that bled. They the only ones that work for this country. They the only one. This they country, the one that they stole. They the only ones that ever went through. Man, bitch, shut the fuck up, pussy. Like, bro, straight up, pussy. Look, I really want to get to the point, man. Look, because I ain't hit 40 yet. Once I hit 40, I'll leave these days up. But I want to box a lot of these motherfuckers, man. I want to box a lot of these motherfuckers, man. I'm being dead ass serious, bro. I want to put some hands on these motherfuckers, if some gloves. I want to box these motherfuckers, cause I'm like, bro, I want to beat the stupid out of you. I want to beat the stupid out of you, cause this motherfucker real stupid.
And they don't see a way out. That's a little different than I think I should drive drunk. That's a little.
Maybe I feel abandoned. Maybe my family abandoned me. How do you know my personal situation? I can feel abandoned. So now
we're talking about a collective movement versus an independent.
Okay, well, I feel I was abandoned because of what happened in the Holocaust, and 7 million Jews died. So that gives me the right to storm the Capitol or drive drunk. I feel abandoned, Rich.
Fine. If you believe that the Holocaust happened, that your ancestors were persecuted, and you visually see similarities of what you would identify as similar cases that created
anti-Semitism. There are people.
You're proving my argument, though. You see symptoms of what happened during that time that caused the persecution of your people, and you said, because of these symptoms and because of what I see coming down the pipeline, I'm going to retaliate in this way.
No,
yes,
that's not what I'm saying.
100% justified.
Well, that's, again, with respect, that's the point I was trying to make. That's ridiculous. So now you're saying any Jew out there that feels abandoned because of what happened in the Holocaust.
No, I'm not saying that they should do these things. I'm saying I get it. Like, it's not shocking to me. Like, J6 happening is not shocking. It's actually more shocking to me that people are shocked that J6 happened. From my purview, when you actually look at extreme poverty levels, when you look at people out of work, out of service, out of the line of conversation or being considered, and you think, wow, their lineage and their ancestry has been here 10 to 15 generations. They've been completely abandoned, and then you have this row of immigrants being issued, and even by the Trump administration being upheld, given grants, given diplomacy, given all this opportunity, while Americans, regardless if they're black, white, or whatever, are suffering in the dredges. I'm shocked. Not J6 isn't happening every day. I mean, for Christ's sake, how long do we have to live this way before people actually get angry? It's not shocking, and you shouldn't be shocked when something like J6 happens. You should.
So will he justify the black people started an uprising in America? Y'all think he would be one of the people like, yeah, they got a reason to do it? Or will he be like, kill them niggas? I think we know which side he'll be on.
Actually be shocked that people aren't more upset. I mean, for Christ's sake, I've been on a tirade about this AI thing, and no one seems to give a damn. I don't know how your opinion or approach is about AI and AI takeover or robotics, but everyone's kind of just in this matrix, in this complacency, kind of being drudged along in this sort of vegetative state.
I'll give you some things that I think are more prevalent than AI. There are 17 million people that are going to lose their healthcare coverage, and they are going to die.
I don't disagree with you, though. Like, I don't disagree with you. It's also a problem.
The top 1%. Yeah, I think there are two different problems that I think some should be prioritized higher than others. Like, for example, I want everyone to get due process in this country. I don't want the biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. I want everybody to be able to live and be able to get the health care that they deserve, especially veterans and people that are suffering, that are living paycheck to paycheck. That is not what the Trump administration is doing. So I have high further concerns.
I definitely don't disagree with you on veterans. That's 100% sure.
Well, I mean, no matter who you are, especially veterans, but that to me is more prevalent. And by the way, the guy who you voted for called veterans suckers and losers, and he dodged the military multiple times. So again, I know you're not a Trump supporter now.
He did call John McCain a sucker and a loser and said he doesn't respect him because he got captured. It was a big controversy. But this guy obviously doesn't see any of the bad shit, just sees the shit that he thinks is good.
Out of context,
well, according to General Kelly, who was I believe a 4-star general, he said that's exactly what Trump said, and he also said on tape, on video, that he didn't respect John McCain as a POW because he was captured.
The reason why I'm arguing about AI or whatever is because the conversation about race, the conversation about the insurrection, I mean, these are such reductive arguments, and I think they're distractions. Ultimately, I think we need to move our focus away from this.
Yeah, you should have.
You know, even with the immigration thing, I think that's being used as a tactic. But yeah, the reason why I bring up Obama being the the deportation king is because I want people to understand that there was no media movement to sensationalize.
I'll give you the reason why.
Because he wasn't tyrannical in his approach and his personality, and he didn't say such horrific things.
It wasn't just that.
A big part of it.
I think that might be a small part of it, but I can tell you what Barack Obama didn't do. He wasn't taking non-violent criminals to some of the highest maximum security prisons in the land. He didn't have ICE agents.
I mean, I don't know about the highest. Well, I'll tell you right now.
Obama deported motherfuckers that got arrested. They got arrested for committing a crime, traffic violation, whatever. He deported them. He deported all of them. Every time they got hemmed up by local police in any state, any city, you was illegal, you broke the law, you getting deported. That's what Obama did. He ain't doing what Trump doing, where he's going to Home Depots and Lowe's early in the morning and just grabbing dudes up that's sitting over there trying to fucking wait for somebody that, they getting their floor fixed in their house. They need some help. Can I buy some men to help do this? No. That's what Trump doing. He going him and them folks up, not people that actually goddamn broke the law, committed a traffic violation, some stupid shit. At least he had a reason to goddamn grab them. Trump just going grabbing folks, but he not locking up their boss though.
Some people in very poor areas of Central America would argue they'd rather be put in a prison than be put in specific areas of Central America where the cartels are running their cities and they're.
Now they want to get locked up, y'all. They want to get locked up because their hometown is so fucked up. They don't want to have freedom to move around and run away from their hometown. They want to be locked up in the prison in the cell. Okay.
Here's what I can tell you. The El Salvador prison is one of the highest maximum security prisons in the world. Meanwhile, again,
he's not sending mass people there, though. I think you're trying to give this impression that he's sending.
There are people that are being deported in places
in Lebanon. Very minutiae percentage. I don't know that they're not criminals either. I've never.
Okay, well, we do know that 60% of the people that were sent to El Salvador have never been convicted of a violent crime in their life.
But see, you kind of just proved my point earlier. You said convicted of a violent crime. You are giving credence to a system that determines what is right and wrong based off the law as they see fit. There may be someone from a different review that said, hey, these people
who don't believe nothing. That's why he voted for Trump. He don't believe nothing. He don't believe nothing. If somebody's convicted, he can disagree with the conviction. If somebody's not convicted, he can say that they should have been convicted. He don't believe nothing. It's whatever the fuck he wants to believe in his own little mind. His little smooth brain ass mind. Well, you believe in a system. Listen to this transaction real quick.
His personality, and he didn't say such horrific things.
It wasn't just that.
A big part of it.
I think that might be a small part of it, but I can tell you what Barack Obama didn't do. He wasn't taking non-violent criminals to some of the highest maximum security prisons in the land. He didn't have ICE agents.
I mean, I don't know about the highest. Well, I'll tell you right now. Some people in very poor areas of Central America would argue they'd rather be put in a prison than be put in specific areas of Central America where the cartels are running the cities and their
here's what I can tell you.
Are being skinned alive.
The El Salvador prison is one of the highest maximum security prisons in the world. Meanwhile, again,
he's not sending mass people there, though. I think you're trying to give this impression that he's sending.
There are people that are being deported in places in Lebanon.
Very minutiae percentage. I don't know that they're not criminals either. I've never.
Okay, well, we do know that 60% of the people that were sent to El Salvador have never been convicted of a violent crime in their life.
But see, you kind of just proved my point earlier. You said convicted of a violent crime. You are giving credence to a system that determines what is right and wrong based off the law as they see fit. There may be someone from a different review that said, hey, these people did do A, B, or C, and maybe they scoffed the law.
So you don't
Maybe
believe that
see this
all
shit,
our
right?
justice system.
But maybe the idea
see
of
this
coming
shit,
into
right?
this country undocumented and illegally is a big enough crime in and of itself to justify any sort of persecution and criminal charges.
It's not a violent crime.
You don't want illegals here because you say they break the law. But what if they believe that, look, my ancestors used to own this land and I should be here? You gonna let them stay? No, you're gonna deport their ass, dummy. But you want it to be okay for you and the people that you align yourself with. He don't even understand, bro. This is a sickness. I need to get that Abby and appreciate. This is a sickness. This is a sickness right here, bro.
It's not considered a felony.
But I'm arguing that maybe we should consider to elevate the severity.
Okay, well, that's an argument you could have with our court system, but right now it's not a felony. And I can tell you, if you don't commit a violent crime in this country, I don't believe you should be sent to a place like El Salvador. If you've lived in this country for decades, there should be a pathway to citizenship if you haven't committed a violent crime. And I don't want ICE agents across the country,
I mean, we can agree, disagree.
in some instances, not identifying themselves, which is, by the way, illegal, right outside of courtrooms when so many of these people are trying to do it the right way. It's wrong.
I heard some of those ICE agents who, coincidentally were black people and on the East Coast were posing as ICE agents. They were actually just citizens using.
Then that would be against the law if there's any
dressing as
proof.
ICE agents
If
to
that-
capture
if-
and molest and rape women. So that's pretty
Okay,
crazy.
so if you can give me a specific case of a specific person that I'm talking about, I would entertain that. And I don't know of any black person who
They
showed
were
up.
black that did that. Actually,
You were just making that up.
saying
Okay,
it.
that's
no,
a-
I wasn't making it up. It actually did happen. I can't give you the name.
Then
but
if
I
that
can
did-
send it to you.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
if
that
that
did
did happen.
I'm just bringing that up
That's wrong.
because it's something recently that happened
Just
where
as bad
the
as
media,
the white
the
person.
media, right? But oddly enough, the media, when they brought it to the attention, I believe it was MSNBC, presented a photo of a white man dressed as an ICE agent as the article picture. But if you actually read the details of the article of the two people who posed as ICE agents to rape this woman, they were both black. So I think that's kind of interesting too, how they will use a white person in their media portrayal, but then you actually have to investigate to determine.
So you're
whether or
more
not they're
upset at a member of the media or a network that may have misconstrued or said the wrong
No,
race.
I'm answering your question from earlier when you
Right,
said,
but you brought this up.
Do I condemn or do I not like misinformation? And I agree, I don't like misinformation from any source, whether it's the left or the right. But in particular, I'm just saying that as an example of, we can kind of do this back and forth dance, forever. At the end of the day, your fundamental approach, your opinion, and what you believe is just different than
Dude,
mine.
fucking
And I don't
crazy,
think that
bro.
I'm anti-human. I don't think I'm anti-American. I don't think that I'm particularly like a white supremacist where I want to hinder or harm any other race or person, especially
This dude don't think a lot of shit, but he all the things that he is. Like everything that he said he don't think he is, he is.
if they're American. I think I'm a nationalist. And I think I concern myself with the well-being and
You're
benefit of all
racist.
Americans. I don't like the manipulation being utilized in the media to deter us from taking a nationalist unified approach. I don't like that they're trying to create racial division. I don't like that they're trying to distract us from what's happening with
your
H-1Bs,
people.
Trump bringing in 400,000 Indians every year right now to displace American workers in the STEM field for cheaper labor so that tech oligarchs can exploit Indians and then those cultures can usurp different towns and whatever. I don't like any of that. But we can actually agree at the end of the day that what we don't like collectively is being taken advantage of by a system that intends to manipulate and usurp us. Can we just agree on that?
Well, certainly I don't want anybody to be manipulated. I don't care where somebody is from. In a perfect world, I wish that everybody would be here legally, but I'm not worried about undocumented immigrants as much as I'm worried about a lot of other things in this country. And, but we can go back and forth on that. But listen, Rich, I've kept you a lot longer than I said I would, so I do apologize.
Yeah, look. We done with that shit. Only if his forefathers, his ancestors would have listened to black folks when we said these things were happening to us. But this is also the same guy that feels like white people are being persecuted more than black people in America right now. Dude, you're your ancestors, bro. This dude don't want no peace. Like, bro, he don't want no peace. He don't want no fucking peace, bro. He want chaos. He want problems. That's what he wants. And he's sitting around trying to act like he's come from a sanctimonious place. But I'm like, dude, you're contradicting yourself every time you switch the topic. That's evil that y'all just saw on screen, man. That's evil that you saw on screen. And very confident, dumb, slow-looking ass evil. And there's a lot of people in America just like him. It's a vast majority of people that's just like him. And I ain't talking about just being white. I'm talking about having that mindset. That mindset. Because I told you, when I speak about white people, I ain't talking about all white people. I ain't talking about all white people. Just like when I talk about women, I ain't talking about all women. I say all if I need to say all. Something is mentally wrong with this person. He's been brought up in a society where he has been the winner, but he has been indoctrinated to believe that he is a victim. Like, dude, I don't know if you looked around lately, but y'all run everything. I guess you can get mad about the NBA and the NFL because, you know, we the dominant players on the field. But guess what? Y'all got the front office and the ownership. You still run that. You control everything. Why? Where is all this vitriol coming from? I don't know, y'all. Y'all have to help me out. Y'all gonna have to help me out with this, bro. This is a sickness. This is a sickness of the highest order, and it's a problem. It's a problem. It's the cancer that's destroying this country. It's the cancer that's destroying this country, y'all. I don't care what nobody say. I know what the fuck I see. I know what I see, and hopefully, by calling this shit out, man, hopefully one day this shit will change, man. But I ain't got a lot of optimism about this shit, man. I ain't got a lot of optimism about this shit, y'all. I'll be honest with you. It don't look good. It don't look good. It look like things about to get worse before they get better. But look, man, call the shit out when you see it. Try to mitigate the problem before it grows and festers into something like this. And it's a grown ass individual that believes and exudes this fucking fucked up belief about the world, about this country. We need to stop that shit, man, because, like, for real, man, everybody needs a fair shake. And just because you feel like your privilege is being taken away and you're getting closer to a fair shake does not mean that people are discriminating against you. Bro, you're actually just catching the reality of what everybody else is dealing with. That's all it is. That's all it is. It ain't nothing crazy. But look, man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight, man. This one really triggered the fuck out of me. I'm glad I did a really good job of holding my composure. I think I did a good job. Y'all can tell me if I didn't, man. Scale of 1 to 10, put it in the comment section down below. I held my composure. I think I did somewhat of a good job, but hit that like, hit that subscribe, share the videos, turn the notifications on. Make sure y'all click all on them bitches. And look, man, we got to get the fuck out of here, man. Look, this shit got me fucked up. This shit got me fucked up. Let's soothe out on the way out with my old what I call it? This the old school shit, man. Look, y'all gonna see it. I'll holler at y'all, man. I catch y'all tomorrow.
but I keep it real, no time for hating. I'm always on that PC trying to shape my sound. See, I'm just trying to make it. I've got some people I cannot let it down. Aiming for the top of the mountain. Not there yet, but I've left the ground. Oh, I've left the ground. I'm just trying to make it, yeah, make it, yeah, yeah. Make it, yeah, make it, yeah, yeah. Oh, I've left the ground. I'm just trying to make it, yeah, make it, yeah, yeah. Make it, yeah, make it, yeah, yeah.